wonders.
Are you not entertained? Isn't that why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. Consider me Vecna tonight. I'm going to shove my meat tentacle down your throats. But before I do that, I hope you guys had a great magical and mystical Christmas. I had a phenomenal Christmas. And with all that said, I spent the entire Christmas night with my wife's family, and we watched all 3 episodes of Volume 2, Season 5 of Stranger Things. And that will be the main topic tonight, because I have a lot to say, and I'm sure you guys do too. And just a fair warning, spoilers, we're going to dive into spoilers. So if you haven't watched it yet, come back a little bit later in the live show, but we are going to dive into very, very deep, dark spoilers of Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. But once again, thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been almost a week. I missed you guys. And once again, I hope you guys had a great Christmas. I had a pretty good Christmas, no complaints. And we have a lot of great questions already popping in. You're making me feel good about who I am and what I'm doing tonight. We have so much to talk about. At some point during this live show, we will have a very impromptu Blu-ray collection update segment. There's a few other topics we might just talk about, but most importantly, we will dive into your questions, your topics, whatever you want me to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about after what I want to talk about, and that's Stranger Things. So yeah, get those questions in. We will get to every single one of those momentarily. And as always, I'm your host with the most, whatever that means, the Flick Pick, aka John Flickinger, aka Vecna, aka I don't know. I don't have another one for that. But first, let me open this delicious caffeinated beverage, because I'm going to need this tonight because the feeling is right. Okay. All right. Someone said, spoil me. Oh, I'm going to spoil you. I'm going to spoil you good. All right. So let's talk about Season 5, Volume 2 of Stranger Things. Now, like I said, I spent the Christmas evening with my in-laws' family in my in-laws' theater room, and it was a magical, mystical time that Christmas evening. And we had everything. Everyone was on board to watch this. Everyone was excited. They were hyped. We had the Christmas-themed cookies going on. Check this out. This is the theater room we watched it in. We have Demogorgon cookies. We have Eggo cookies. We had cake with little peanut M&Ms that were supposed to look like the light bulbs that Joyce hung up in Season 1. That Will communicated with her through. So it was definitely an awesome time, and we watched all 3 episodes late into the night. So no complaints with that. That was probably the best thing about all 3 episodes, was the viewing experience of watching said 3 episodes. But with all that said, I think we should dive in to these 3 new episodes. And before I do that, first let me preface with this. I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things. Now, are all the seasons phenomenal and perfect? No, Season 2 is sort of a retread of Season 1. Season 3 it's fun, but it's probably like my least favorite season, and that might be up until Season 5. But I still stand by Season 1 and Season 4 are by far the best seasons, and I think have the most rewatchability. And now when it comes to Season 5, up until this point, and keep in mind, we only have one more epic episode left, and I'm praying, and I'm needing it to blow me away and be the best episode of Stranger Things that's ever existed, because if it doesn't deliver, I really feel like Season 5 of Stranger Things was sort of like a weak point in the franchise. Just a little bit. It feels a bit clunky, a bit on the nose. A lot of things feel forced. And don't get me wrong, there's been some good scenes throughout this season. Some really cool scenes. But everything connecting those scenes just feels very forced. And it definitely feels like the writing and dialogue took a back seat. Also, maybe it's just me, but doesn't it just feel like some of the line delivery also is like not that good this season? Like there's still some good performances, and I will say this. Steve and Dustin have always been my 2 favorite characters, especially after like Season 3. And I still stand by that watching this newest season. I think they are the best part about Season 5. The performances, the characters. So yeah, if you kill Steve, I hope you burn in hell, strangers, Things, Duffer Brothers. And we're going to talk about them in a little bit, but their performances thus far are phenomenal. And that scene between Steve and Dusty Buns in Hawkins' lab in these last 3 episodes, the one where Dustin just confides in Steve and says, "I can't do it. I can't lose you too." That made me feel something. And I really feel like Dustin is probably and by far and away my favorite character of Stranger Things. So Gaten Matarazzo, what is it? Matarazzo? Is that it? Yeah, anyway, phenomenal actor. I hope he gets some more work beyond Stranger Things. All right. And as far as Steve Curry goes, top notch as well. So there's that. Now, let's talk about the overall vibe thus far in season 5. And like I said, we do have one more episode, and I hope it's good. I hope it delivers, because it needs to. And maybe it's just me, but let me know down below. Are you guys getting sort of kind of Game of Thrones season 8 vibes from this new season of Stranger Things? It feels like the Duffer Brothers cannot wait to get to the finish line. Like, they'll give you some cool shit along the way, but everything else just feels so clunky and not that well earned. And everyone has these epiphany moments. Oh, I know the answer to this. Every 2 minutes, someone has an epiphany on how to go to the next thing and the next step. And then they explain every single thing they're doing in intimate detail with graphs and graphics. And then they reiterate the same point 4 times, because I really feel like Netflix basically assumes the average IQ watching this show is probably 62 and a half. And maybe it is, and that might be true. It is Netflix. It's quite a wide variety of people, and that might be the case. But I'd like to think everyone watching this show isn't Forrest Gump. They comprehend things without being told what's happening every second along the way, to the point where it almost gets in its own way, and it almost kind of like becomes irritating to me. I'm like, you don't need to tell me everything. Show me. That's rule number 1 in cinema. You don't tell them, you show them. So anyway, that's one little thing I've sort of noticed thus far in this season. But let's just talk about what I liked thus far, especially when it comes to these 3 episodes that we got. So like I said, I think Dustin and Steve's dynamic is by far the most compelling thing for me this season, and I think they had one of the best scenes in Hawkins' lab. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the scene with Lucas saving Max in the hospital as the Demodogs chase them into the laundry room. And we basically got a Jurassic Park Velociraptor scene. And I'm okay with things like that. I love shit like that. But the one scene where the Demodogs running down the hallway after Lucas, and he just puts his foot out to where it didn't even look like he kicked him. It just looked like he kind of like, just puts his foot out. He's just all nonchalant, apathetically. And the Demodog just flies back 50 feet. It's like, I've seen these things in other scenes, like tear people apart and knock over cars. You're telling me Lucas is like, has super strength at this point? He's just going to put his foot out and anyway, maybe I'm overthinking it. But I'm definitely going to start overthinking it here in a few seconds. But I sort of liked that scene. I thought it was fun. But the thing about that scene that almost took me out of it, and I think at this point in Stranger Things, it's just going to be the most bombastic, whatever happens will happen kind of thing, or whatever can happen will happen. In that scene, Karen Wheeler gets up from her deathbed, and keep in mind, her throat was basically ripped out from a Demogorgon, and she somehow gets her ass out of the hospital bed, makes it down into the basement, takes an oxygen tank with her that weighs probably 120 pounds. Did I mention she was on her deathbed? Okay. Puts said oxygen tank in a dryer, turns it on, and somehow got in the room that was locked. I'm pretty sure the room was locked by Lucas. And then the tank magically explodes at the perfect second, and then she just walks out from the debris like some badass. And I get it. Okay, I can overlook the logistics and logic to some degree because, once again, it is Stranger Things, and that's okay. But it just felt so forced to me. Anyway, there's that. Another scene that overall, I liked the outcome of it, and I'm glad it happened because I've been waiting for this to happen because I don't feel like these two characters have any chemistry, even though both actors in real life are actually dating, so there's that. But Nancy and Jonathan's breakup scene in Hawkins' lab. Now, I have rewatched these 3 episodes twice. The first time I watched it on Christmas night, and then the wife and I rewatched it the night after that, just to kind of like comprehend everything that was happening, because there was a lot happening, and I was trying to make sure like I wasn't missing something, and sometimes it feels like I was in this series. That breakup scene between Jonathan and Nancy, where they're basically telling each other everything that they hate about one another, I liked that. I did. And for like the last 2 seasons, I've had the same thoughts. I'm like, you guys don't like each other. The only thing that you have in common is you bonded over trauma. And that never lasts the test of time. Trust me. So as the waxy frosting was oozing up, and by the way, I don't know what that was. No one's ever explained it. What is that? I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's time melting away because the dimension that they live in is basically collapsing underneath them. That's what I'm going to go with. But it looked like frosting, if you ask me, or wax. Maybe candle wax. Some kind of goo of sorts. I think the word bukkake might describe it, but that's for another time and another place. And we'll get there. Trust me, we will get there. But as far as that scene went, where they're on the table and the frosting wax is slowly coming up. At one point, I really thought Jonathan was going to sacrifice himself like Jack on the door of the sinking Titanic, where he jumps into the freezing, frigid cold waters to save Rose, even though I'm sure they both could have fit on that door, just putting it out there. Or maybe if you had time, Jack, and you thought ahead, maybe you should have just grabbed another door. Oh, that looks buoyant. Let me grab that. And a couple of life vests. Let's get prepared for this sinking ship that we know is sinking for the last 2 hours. Call me crazy. That's what I would have done. Then again, I would have dressed up like a woman and got on one of the lifeboats with a small child in my hand that I kidnapped. Hey, I'm not going down with this sinking ship. Not today, not ever. It's not my fault you didn't design the ship to have enough lifeboats. But anyway, back to my point. I really thought he was going to sacrifice himself in that moment. And then, once they basically break up and the truth comes out, it's like the truth saved them. And thus, the frosting stops rising. And then it hardens. And I was like, okay, sure. No one really elaborated on what happened there or why, but it did. So I'm just glad they broke up. I never bought into their relationship. And, you know, the fact that they're dating in real life, I don't know. There's that. What do they have in common? I don't know. All right. But the one cool scene in these 3 episodes that I think was probably like the standout badass scene was when Will used his powers once again, and he basically went into Vecna's mind and controlled him just momentarily enough to stop him from killing Max and Holly Wheeler, to where he just breaks his leg. And I was like, that's cool. And then he gets inside of his body and possesses him, and he goes, run! And I was like, that's pretty cool. That was a badass moment. So it was very short-lived, but nevertheless, I thought it was kind of a cool standout moment. Another thing I think is, it's one of the strong points of this new season, but also I will say they're showing too much of Holly Wheeler. Now, this young actress, I believe she was 12 years old when they filmed this season, and now she's like 14. And this 12-year-old is supposed to be playing a 9-year-old. But really, she just looks like a 12 or 13-year-old, and she basically looks the same age as the kids in season 1 of Stranger Things. She looks a little too old for her age, just putting it out there. Now, once again, I can suspend my disbelief, and I feel like had they just somehow made her age 10 or 11 or 12 years old, it would have been an easier pill to swallow. And I get it. It's sort of like going back to the earlier seasons of Stranger Things when they were just kids. And that's sort of the viewpoint we're getting with Holly Wheeler. It's like that young, innocent viewpoint that we got in the first couple seasons of Stranger Things. And, you know, I'm okay with that. And once again, I think she's a pretty good actress, especially with how much screen time the show is dedicating to her. Everyone else in this season feels like a side character, except for Holly Wheeler. She feels like the main character. And I almost have a theory they're going to do something with her in the future as a spinoff. Just putting it out there, I almost get a sense that they will. But anyway, Once again, we watch Holly Wheeler trying to escape Camazotz with Max. And Max looks like basically the Mad Hatter or the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. And now I think it's the moment in this review that we talk about some of the things I didn't necessarily love thus far in these new 3 episodes. And I wouldn't say I hate all of these things. I just think some of them are meh and some of them are bad. All right, so since I just left you off on a cliffhanger with Max and Holly trying to escape Camazotz, let's talk about that scene where the portals open up. Max is just waiting to leave. She's only been in a coma for 2.5 years. Kate Bush is playing in the background. Lucas is waiting on you. But how about we stop and have a podcast about our feelings, our wants, and our desires for the next 47 minutes? Now, at some point, it became unintentionally hilarious how long she was waiting to leave. Like, everyone that I was watching it with was like, "Run, bitch, run!" It's like, you remember the first time she escaped Vecna in season 4? That epic scene where everything's in slow motion and she's running back and Kate Bush running up that hill is playing. That was perfection. But this time around, it felt like the poor man's version of that. Not only in the way that it was written, how long it took to get to the point, and once again, I feel like this is the complaint of 99.9% of people who watch these 3 episodes was they just would stop, talk. Okay, I'm going to go. I've been in a coma for 3 years. Okay. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, what? What's that? Oh, yeah. So let's talk about, what? And I get how she was trying to convince Holly Wheeler to kind of motivate her and give her a little bit of direction what to do. And by the way, Max gave Holly Wheeler some really shitty advice, if I say so myself. Yeah, just run back. You see that portal? Yeah, you're going to go back to having Vecna's meat tentacle down your throat. That's where you're going. I'm going back to my boyfriend Lucas, and I'll be okay. But don't worry, I'm sure you'll make it, Holly. You're 9 years old. There's only a monster that has you tied up with a meat tentacle down your throat. Just go back to that now. See ya. I gotta go. What? What's that? You want to keep talking? Okay, let's keep doing it. So that went on for 15 minutes. But not only that, the scene did not look that good. This looked like a reshot that they shot in someone's basement with a green screen and an After Effects plugin. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Look at this right here. Like, that's what it looked like. Look at the lighting on that. Look at that red lighting. Look at the background. It does not look like they're in this scene whatsoever. It looks like they have a cheap red hair light that they bought off Amazon for $7, and they're just standing in front of a green screen. In season 4, that looks so much better than it does in season 5. And that's really how I feel about most of the Upside Down in season 5. It just looks like everyone's standing in a green screen and no one's actually immersed into this environment. And it doesn't even feel that dangerous half of the time. It just doesn't feel like there's any wind or spores or the lighting looks off. It just feels like they're all standing in front of a backdrop just reciting lines sometimes. And from a visual standpoint, it does not look that good this season, especially that scene. But how about we continue on with that scene? Because after about an hour and a half, they finally do shut up and leave Dimension X or the Abyss or wherever they're at that point. And Max goes back to Lucas. They're good to go. She's safe. She wakes up from a coma. But Holly Wheeler, she basically starts plunging to her death atop Hawkins' lab, and thank God Vecna saved her, or else Holly Wheeler would have just went splat on top of the building and instantly been done. Holly Wheeler was 1 second away from being a pancake. So thank you, Vecna. He basically saved Holly Wheeler. And no thanks to you, Max, for your shitty advice. But then again, Max didn't care. She just needed to get back to her man, and I can't blame her. So there's that. I thought that scene was just odd. I thought it was really odd and took way too long to make a point. And there's also another scene we're going to talk about that took way too long to make a point. And that is Will. Now, I think we've all safely assumed since season 3 that Will might just be in the closet. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's a sensitive young boy. He has a lot of childhood trauma. And hey, if I was abducted as a child and a monster put a meat tentacle down my throat for an extended period of time, I'm sure it would have adverse effects on my psychology. Okay? So you can't blame the kid for having all this trauma and sensitivity. I get it. But Will finally came out. And, going back to season 3, where Mike basically says, hey, it's not my fault you don't like girls. I think that was pretty much on the nose. We knew it was going to happen. And then a few minutes later, a few episodes later, you see Will dressed like a wizard in a bright magenta wizard outfit. And it's like, okay, I know what's happening here, and that's okay. That's okay. But the scene where Will finally does come out. Now, I think this scene was necessary. I think we needed this scene finally because they basically had his whole personality revolved around this. And he had to come to terms with this. And Robin motivated him. We finally got there. And this scene was even more heavy-handed than I ever thought it could be. I was expecting maybe 3 or 4, maybe his closest friends to be there in this moment. Like the original core of kid characters. Like Dustin, Lucas, Mike and Elle. Like, I definitely expected them to know this information, but I didn't expect every side character to be in the room as well. And when he was like, hey, I got to tell you guys something, all of a sudden, like, it cuts to like 25 people in the waiting room of the radio station, and they're all like, okay, it's not like we have to save the world or anything. What do you have to say? And for like the next 10 minutes, he goes on this diatribe of saying everything except I'm gay. He basically concludes with, well, I don't like girls. And you know what the logical next scene of that would have been? I get that they all hugged and cried, and that's a nice feel-good moment. I understand those things. But really, it should have been this. Yeah, we know, man, and it's cool. We still love you. You want to go save the world? Because we don't have time for this. So there's that scene as well. That seems like the point of content for a lot of people. I just think it went on too long, and I didn't feel like 47 people had to be there. I just felt like as long as his friends knew, that was sufficient. But what do you guys think? All right. Now let's get into the final episode, and keep in mind, that was like the final scene, the final big unveil of episode 7. Because after that, they basically talk about the plan. And the plan for the season finale, the final episode of Stranger Things, the end-all be-all, how they take down Vecna. The plan basically came from Steve. And I liked that. I like that Steve came up with the plan. And it's basically the beanstalk. So my assumption is, because they didn't go into intimate detail, is they're basically going to wait until Dimension X or the Abyss and the Upside Down, which is sort of like a bridge to another dimension, that bridge slowly dwindles and dwindles to the point where they get to the top of the radio tower, where they're waiting on top of it to enter Dimension X to take down Vecna. Now, there's a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous, and, this is where I start speculating, and I have some theories, and if you guys have some theories, please share them down below. I don't know the answers to these things. I'm just talking out of my ass to you guys right now, so here it goes. My theory is Elle and 8 definitely go into this. Hopper's going to go into this. And I feel like Steve might almost sacrifice himself at one moment. Now, does Steve die? If he dies, I write. I did not go this far to have Steve the Harrington just die. You can't do that to Dusty Buns. Not now, not ever. But I feel like it's going to tease us with that. But I definitely feel like 8 is on a kamikaze mission. She's trying to talk Elle into basically let's kill ourselves to save the world. And I get the logic there. If you can't stop these scientists from taking your blood and trying to duplicate it, really maybe that's the thing that you have to do, but I don't think it's necessarily necessary, all right? So the biggest theory I have is I definitely think at some point 8 is either going to be working with Vecna to some degree. Maybe their ideologies align, and maybe she agrees with Vecna, maybe transporting that dimension onto Earth or making it all one dimension where people like her feel safe. It's sort of like Magneto's ideology in X-Men. You kill all the humans and all the mutants can roam free. That's kind of the way I took it. But maybe, just maybe, she has a change of heart at the last second. And since she has the power of illusions and mind trickery, where she can make people see things that aren't there, she either is going to use that against Elle, or she's going to use it against Vecna. And here's my theory. And maybe I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I will take this clip and upload it next week and say, look how clever I am, internet. What if, at one point, we do think 8 is evil? We think she's evil. Maybe she's a co-aligned with Vecna. Maybe she just wants to do a kamikaze mission. I don't know. But what if we see a sequence where Elle does, in fact, die? She loses. And then a couple minutes later, we realize that was just an illusion to trick Vecna that 8 is doing. So 8 basically saves the day by doing this illusion, and then sacrifices herself. And if anyone's going to die in this last episode, I'm safely going to assume it's going to be 8. Right? Who else could it be? It's going to be 8. That seems like the necessary side character to go. But at the last moment, she will be heroic. Just putting it out there. And also, I think Vecna's definitely his hideout, his fortress of solitude, if you will, in Dimension X, or the Abyss, is definitely it's a giant spider. I mean, just look at that thing. It's a spider. It has teeth inside of it. So I think that thing's going to come to life at some point and be a big menace and a giant monster that they have to blow up. It's sort of like the end of that Will Smith movie, The Wild Wild West, where you have a giant mechanical spider that they have to fight. And I think they're all going to fight a giant spider at the end of this show. So there's that as well. But the one thing I do want to say that I'm going to backtrack just for 1 second. The way that episode 7 ended, where they basically go into the Upside Down and they're all in the back of that delivery truck. You know, to me, that was a really underwhelming way to end off episode 7. And hear me out for 1 second. If you go back to season 4, episode 8, where they're all in that RV going to Vecna's mansion to take him out, and they're all looking really wiped out and focused and very somber in that moment, and they start playing Journey Worlds Collide, or Worlds Apart, excuse me. That's an epic ending to that episode. That was a perfect send-off to get me excited for that season finale. It was so cinematic. It was like, I was like, my goosebumps were tintillating and tingling all over. But the way they ended off this episode, and keep in mind, this is like the final episode until the season finale of Stranger Things, or the last episode ever, it just felt really underwhelming and anticlimactic and not very cinematic. They're just in the back of the delivery truck and the episode ends. I was like, there's no epic music playing. They're not all kind of just like in the zone thinking about what they're going to do. So those are my quick thoughts. And by quick, I mean I probably have been talking for the last 30 minutes about Stranger Things Volume 2, the 3 episodes that we just got. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? You know, I think there were some good scenes, but overall, it's just, I'm really needing this final 2-hour episode to pay off. And from everything I've heard, basically this final episode will be an hour and 20 minutes of action and finalizing the finale, and then the final 40 minutes at the very end of that 2-hour episode are basically going to be an epilogue of the wrap up and what everyone's doing and where they are. So they have 2 hours to tie all this shit together and give me a fulfilling ending to Stranger Things, because it kind of feels like the Duffer Brothers were sort of just racing to the finish line and just kind of going, this is good enough, this is good enough, okay, let's keep going, without a lot of forethought or a lot of subtleties along the way. So those are my thoughts on Stranger Things thus far. And we will talk about the season finale next week. But what did you guys have to say about this? I can't wait to hear it. Please chime in. And we're talking about Stranger Things. Austin says the door would have been too heavy with Jack also on it. You know, I think they could have grabbed maybe one of the 500 life vests just floating around and maybe use that to help make the door buoyant. But anyway. Hey, John, I'm watching Grown Ups 2. You should punish yourself right now. It looks like they used the red light in the same area where Obi-Wan and Vader fought. Yeah, it definitely does. The only practical effect was the cave. Yeah, I like the cave. I would hang out there. It was so cringe. is Stranger Things worth watching? I think Stranger Things is it's probably one of my favorite series of all times. Depending on how it ends, it could still be one of my favorite series of all times. Please just don't ruin it, Duffer Brothers. They literally cut out 110 minutes of footage that would have made more sense. Did they? I did not hear about that, but it definitely does feel like this last season's a little bit choppy. So maybe one day they put those extended scenes in there, but then again, maybe they didn't have time to do it, or maybe we'll get an extended cut of Stranger Things. And if anything, that would be a brilliant thing to do. If they have usable footage on the cutting room floor that they could put into the season in like 6 months or something to where they can re-release it like the director's cut, I would be okay with that. Now, it's sort of a detriment to the season right now, but I can't imagine. Like, could you imagine? Maybe every scene was just like Max and Holly talking for 47 minutes without actually doing anything. As a gay guy, I think that should have been more in the middle of the season or episode and less of a big deal. That made it too big of a deal. Yeah, the fact that was like the last big deal of these 3 episodes, and it's like we all know it's coming. We know what it is. We're not shocked by it. We get it. But yeah, it just like, I think they like built it up too much. like the kid's just saying he's gay. It's like, we know, man, it's okay. Do you think Eddie will show up? I don't think he will, but would I like him to? Yes, I would. To some degree. Maybe there's a scene where, I don't know, Dustin has to do something and they play Master of Puppets as he's doing it to help save the day. That would be a nice throwback to Eddie. And the other thing I did want to talk about was there was a scene in this last episode where you see Mike and, oh gosh, what is her name? Oh my gosh. Uma Thurman's daughter. What is her name? I just forgot it. Maya Hawke, yeah. Completely forgot her name. Anyway, there was a scene where they were talking about like what song to play to give the signal when the shit goes down. And Mike was like, let's play Butthole Surfers. And I was like, that's pretty funny. But the biggest question is, what song are they going to play? And I've heard that this is like a song that's never really been played in another show or TV or movie. So I'm hoping they pick a really epic song choice as like the final showdown song. Robin. Yes, that's her name. So yeah, I'm hoping that's cool. I also feel like the Duffer Brothers have too much, hey, remember this 80s property? Wasn't it cool? We copied it. Yeah, I get a little bit of that, but I like the throwbacks to 80s movies, and I like how they reference D&D and shit like that. I think that's fun. I don't really mind it. Because that's the best way they can describe what's happening is with like pulp culture that they live in. It makes sense from kid logic. John, you are mother and an ally for watching this mess for the gays. What? Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it. And please keep sharing yours down below. We'll keep talking about it. Stranger Things, the world is ending, but let's stop everything to talk about our feelings. Well, feelings are important. So, all right, guys, let's dive into the questions. I felt like I had to get that off my chest. And did I ever tell you guys, I don't like boys? All right. Woo! All right, the next one comes from, let's scroll up here. Why does YouTube always cut this off so much? Damn you, YouTube. Hang on, let me scroll back here a little bit. Okay, we got one here from Sebastian who says, what are your thoughts on A Clockwork Orange? As disturbing as the movie is, I can't help but admire Kubrick's visuals. It's so amazing to look at. You know, Clockwork Orange is a movie I've seen like once, maybe like twice. It's definitely an unsettling movie that doesn't have a lot of rewatchability to me. I've always enjoyed it. Now, if you break down what Clockwork is mechanical and orange is like the organic. And you're taking a mechanical with an organic, and what they're doing is the main message of Clockwork Orange, or at least the message I've always taken away from it, was, can you force human beings to have only good thoughts? And if you do that and you take away free will, it's not worth doing because they're no longer human. And what does it mean to be human? It means having good thoughts and bad thoughts. So Clockwork Orange is definitely an unsettling scene, especially the scene that takes place on the wood floor of that loft. But like I said, I've seen it like once or twice. Not one of my favorite Kubrick movies, actually. So there's that. The next one comes from... oh gosh, YouTube cuts these off. Why does it cut them off? Let me see if I can find it up here. Okay. Sorry, just trying to get YouTube to work here. It's not my fault, it's YouTube's fault. Let's refresh the chat. Okay, there we go. It's working now. All right, Cup of Joe Media says, and by the way, Cup of Joe Media, thank you for the questions so much. And by the way, you get a party popper. 3, 2, 1. A little late on that countdown. But anyway, Cup of Joe Media says, stay safe, John. Nasty weather in our Midwest hellhole this week. Yeah, the Midwest is definitely rainy. It was storming like 20 minutes ago, and it was 65 degrees today. What is happening? I don't know. But anyway, hope your holidays and New Year are magical and mystical. Need a list of your top 5 most anticipated shows for 2026. We will talk about top 10 movies, top 10 worst movies, and top 10 shows in January or maybe on the next live show. I'm working on those lists right now. But I will have most anticipated movies as well at some point in January. So look out for that. And thanks for the question, man. Thank you so much. And the weather is pretty shitty. But I'd rather have rain than snow. So there's that. All right. Sebastian's back again, who says, better as the Joker, Seth Rogen or Owen Wilson? Hey, Batman. And then I could never do a good Owen Wilson impression. Wow. Geez. Wow. Gosh. What's the matter, Batman? Yeah, I can't do it. I can never do it. So I think Owen Wilson, and if you break down Owen Wilson and Heath Ledger, Owen Wilson kind of feels like he could be Heath Ledger's like special needs cousin of the Joker, doesn't he? Just slightly, just putting it out there, just a little bit of that kind of has the same talking like vibe. His voice almost sounds similar to Heath Ledger's Joker. But anyway, let's just keep going. All right, the next one comes from Patrice Chaswick. How's it going, Patrice Chaswick? I think I donated twice under Anonymous. Streamlabs. Enjoy, my friend. Well, let's talk about that right now because Patrice, thank you so much to Down Under. Patrice lives in Australia, I believe. And Patrice gave 2 very generous Streamlabs donations today that will help pay my internet bill this month. So thank you so much, Patrice Chaswick, for these. Very much appreciated. You're too good to me, and you're going to get a party popper right to the face right now. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna give myself a party popper. 3, 2. I'm not gonna do it, man. I'm not gonna do it. But let's read these questions here. And the first one from Patrice says, sorry, my last Streamlabs questions was anonymous. I was driving. Do you skip the Stranger Things intro? I don't. Well, let's start with that right there, right now. When I watched the first episode of like the first release of Volume 1, Volume 2, no. I don't skip the Stranger Things intro. You got to get that. You got to have that intro to get immersed. You got to hear the music. You got to remember everything that you love about the show. So absolutely not. Now, when I go back to when I go to episode 2, episode 3, yeah, I skip that shit. Because typically I'm eating and I'm like, okay, I can't waste food consumption on the intro. I need it when Will's talking, preferably. No, I'm kidding. But no, I only skip it on the episodes like after the first volume of. Am I talking right now? You get what I'm saying. All right, let's go to the next one here. And you said, Merry Christmas to you, your wife, and all the viewers. P.S. Ever in Australia, let me know. We can go for a spin in some cool cars and a DeLorean if it ever gets here. Listen, Patrice, like I said, I would love to come to Australia and drive around in a DeLorean with you anytime, any place. We can even go 88 miles per hour or kilometers or whatever you guys do down under in Australia. I don't know how your speed works. But anyway, man, thank you so much. And your next question here was, sorry for my last Streamlabs once again. Oh, you asked the same question twice. Well, anyway, thank you so much, man, once again. And I got to give you another party popper. I got to give you another one. There you go. And by the way, the thing I need to tell you guys about these party poppers, and everyone who gives me a question or a Streamlabs question or super chat question over $5, my gift to you is a pyrotechnic right to your face. And these party poppers in the Flick Cave right here, let me get this off here. These things are loud. On camera, it does not translate to just how loud they are. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one comes from Nickadug, who says, Hey, John, I'm seeing the Stranger Things finale in theaters on January 1st. Do you plan to see the finale in theaters? It feels pretty epic. Side note, I've still only seen the first 4 episodes of Season 5. Well, I certainly hope you were not watching the first 30 minutes of this live stream because I spoiled that shit for you. But if you were, nevertheless, thank you so much. Okay, so Stranger Things is playing in theaters for the final episode. Now, part of me would like to go watch it in a theater. Absolutely. But here's the thing. It's not playing in any of the local theaters nearby where I live. It's playing in 500 theaters, but somehow not in my area. So I will be watching it at home in my underwear and probably eating like pizza because that just feels appropriate when I watch Stranger Things that takes place in the 1980s. Do I want to dress like a wizard? Yes, I do. Will I? Probably not. So I'll be watching it at home on New Year's Eve, and I cannot wait. Oh, please don't let me down. Just don't let me down, please. And we will talk about it on the next live show, so look out for that. I'm either going to be really happy or very disappointed, but I feel like at this point, it's so hard to please everyone. No matter what they do, it won't be what we want. And isn't that just so concerning? All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Bob, who says, yeah, what an absolute letdown the 3 episodes were. Even running up the hill bit over and over again, we get it. It was great last season. Now let's move on, please. I don't know, man. Are you excited for the finale? Yeah, we just talked about that, and I'm still super excited for the finale. I've enjoyed watching all these volumes. Like, I'll talk shit about some of the things I didn't like, but I still very much enjoy the experience of watching it. But I will say, I don't know if this might be in the running for like one of the worst seasons. Like, I think it might be like when it comes back to this in a year or two and I'm in the mood to rewatch Stranger Things, I don't think season 5 is going to get me all that pumped up or excited. It feels like everyone's a side character. It really does. And it feels like they're trying to come up with stuff for everyone to do, but it feels a little bit forced. So there's that. By the way, once again, Patrice Chaswick, thank you so much. Anonymous was Patrice Chaswick, so thank you, man. Thank you so much. I love you, Patrice. Don't you ever leave me now. Don't you ever leave me, because I will stick a meat tentacle down your throat and keep you in upside down forever. It's okay, though. If you hide in a cave, I will not hurt you. All right, the next one comes from Bob. Do you guys mind if I put these on? The lights are looking a little bit bright tonight, and I'm trying to fight off a migraine. All right. Bob says, yeah, what an absolute letdown these 3 episodes were. Even the running up, we already talked about that. Anyway, yeah. Oh, the other thing I did want to mention, when it comes to the Running Up the Hill song, which was a major plot point on how to escape Vecna's Upside Down, Dimension X, The Abyss, whatever. The thing we have to talk about is you don't even need that shit. You don't even need that shit anymore. You just need to hold on to a thought that takes you to your happy place, I guess. You don't need a song. You don't need a little toy figure of Holly the Heroic. No. You just need a happy thought, I guess, at this point. So like when Lucas was playing, running up the hill, and he was trying to hide from demodogs and not be eaten alive because they had the boombox playing, which, by the way, like if he would have just brought headphones and put on Max, like that would have been probably a better solution. Just putting it out there, like just put headphones on her. Like keep the headphones on her. No one else needs to hear the song. Call me crazy. But anyway, he didn't even need to do that. So there's that. We just wrote that off. And the reason we wrote that off is so Holly can escape at some point without having a song play. So, okay. Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. All right, the next one comes from Mark Hickey. How's it going, Mark? Another year down, John. Thanks for all the live streams this year. I hope you have a happy and healthy 2026. Rock and roll, as Bodie would say in Point Break, when he's about to rob the bank wearing a Ronald Reagan mask. Oh, yeah, well, Bodie says, when the little hand hits 12, rock and roll, and then they jump out of the van and rob a bank. Phenomenal stuff. And I'm really looking forward to that Point Break series. I hope that's really good. But yeah, man, and this is to all of you watching right now. And by the way, thanks to all 224 of you watching. It does mean a lot. Please keep chiming in the comments. I'm doing my best to keep up with you guys. 2026 is almost here. And my biggest question I ask myself every night before I close my eyes and go to Camazotz is, what happened? This year was probably the quickest year of my life. 2025. And also, like, when it comes to cinema, it was also sort of like, yeah, there was a lot of movies this year, a lot of things I liked, but I don't think there's a lot of shit I'm going to go back and rewatch in a decade and call it a classic. But yeah, 2025. It's over, man. Game over. Now into 2026. And I hope it's great for everyone. I hope 2026 is far better than 2025, but I feel like something bad is on the horizon. I don't want to be negative. I just get these weird spider senses. Something is on the horizon. Space invasion of aliens? An atomic blast? World War III? I don't know. All of them seem possible at this point. Then this one comes from Dustin Rich, who says, I have a bad cold, John. Will you lay hands on me? Whatever that means, yes, I will. And by the way, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Everyone I know is getting sick right now. They're getting colds. They're getting migraines. They're getting sinus infections. Is this like COVID 3.0? I don't know. It feels like something else is on the horizon, doesn't it? Just in time for Christmas. John, I think Vecna's biggest weakness is gay love. I think that's everyone's biggest weakness, mine included. Anyway, let's keep going. This is 100% the worst season. Yeah, it definitely feels like the clunkiest of all seasons. It just feels like they didn't... It just doesn't feel like anything's organic that's happening. We love you, John. Well, I love you too, Man or Taze. Is Avatar worth watching? You should go back and watch last week's live show. I talked all about Avatar for 25 minutes. The ins, the outs, the what have yous, those 9-foot tall blue alien people that make love with their ponytails. I think Avatar, say what you will about the narrative, say what you will about the story, Avatar is still a visual spectacle that is worth your money to go see up on the big screen. Does it retread Avatar 1 and 2? Yes, it does. Does it have scenes that you've already seen multiple times in previous Avatar movies? Yes, it does. Is half of the movie actually retreading shit you've already seen? Absolutely. But the other half of the movie is really fun, and I really enjoyed it, and it looks cool. And if ever there was a movie that justifies paying for 3D, I think it's Avatar. I really do. So Avatar is definitely a fun sci-fi movie with pure escapism, and I recommend seeing it, you know? Like, the story, but everything else, phenomenal. Dustin Rich says, ha ha ha, he hopes the Point Break series will be good. Has John learned nothing from Hollywood? Yeah, I'm on the fence, but it does come from AMC, and they did give us Point Break, or not Point Break, they gave us Breaking Bad. So I have a little bit of hope, just a tinge of hope. It'll probably suck though. What are you drinking? I am drinking this disgusting Celsius sparkling mango lemonade energy drink tonight. And the best way to describe this is, it does taste like cat urine. It does taste like tropical cat urine. All right, the next question comes from Lieutenant Dan's Fruit Company. Some kind of fruit company. And he said, we don't got to worry about money no more. And I said, that's good. All right, let's talk about it. Have you seen the trailer for Spielberg's new movie? It looks like The Knowing from 2009. It definitely did give me Knowing vibes. I literally forget what it's called, though. What is the Spielberg movie called? I talked about this on X a few weeks ago. What is this stuff called? I meant to talk about this on the last live show, and I completely spaced it out. Yeah, Disclosure Day. All right, so here's my quick thoughts on Disclosure Day's trailer. I said Disclosure Day feels less about UFOs and more about coming to terms with who we are. Maybe we're the aliens. Just putting it out there. I genuinely think that's what Disclosure Day is. The main twist of this movie will be we are the aliens, and it'll talk about how we got here and why we exist. That's Disclosure Day. Just the theory, just saying. I think it looks good. Emily Blunt looks good in the movie. I'm excited to check it out, and the fact that Spielberg's going back to sci-fi gets me excited, but I hope it's a return to form from Spielberg. I really do, A little mix of Close Encounters with something new and original. Give it to me right now. All right. Spielberg made 6 alien movies, laughing my ass. Yeah, but that's okay. I love a good alien movie. If you have something new to say, please do. So thanks for the question. It's garbage day. All right. John, did you get my super chat? Yes, I did. I will get to it here momentarily. It's on the list. I'm catching up as quick as I can, man. All right, Bob. How's it going, Bob? Max, we are here. Holly. Oh, by the way, you can't come with me. Bye. Ted Wheeler. Anybody give a fuck about the dad? And oh, Max, Hopper is alive. She's not shocked at all. So many weird choices with the writing and story, it pissed me off. Yeah, it's like no one really cares about anything. It's like, oh, here's that. Should I care? No. Let's go to the next scene. Yeah, it's clunky. That's the best way I can describe it. It feels a bit clunky this season. Crazy guy John 3594 says, finally a commercial movie from Spielberg and not some musical bullshit. Yeah, I agree. Listen, there's some good musicals I love, but I don't want to see Spielberg wasting his time directing musicals. I don't want to see that shit. The guy that directed Jaws and Jurassic Park and I just Minority Report, just no more musicals, Spielberg, that no one wants to watch, okay? No one wants to watch it. We don't want it. We don't need it. Let's direct some new shit. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, by the way, yeah, speaking of Ted Wheeler, I mean, he's still in a coma, so who gives a shit? Ted was always a piece of shit. All right. All right. The next one comes from Skylar Wheelock. How's it going, Skylar? I'm just ready for this year to be over. John, I've experienced multiple deaths this year, including my childhood best friend, Jared, back in October. He was 30. I miss him deeply. But why do we struggle too much for a life that can end at any time? Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Skylar. I really am. And, I've dealt with a lot of tragedy in my life. A lot of people have come and gone. And I like to think, that trauma has calloused me. It's toughened me up. It's taught me things about life. And, one of the most important things it can teach you is you need to enjoy the little things because that's what makes life so precious. It can come and go at any time. You just have to take what you can get and enjoy what you have. And that's coming from a guy wearing no pants and orange sunglasses, blowing party poppers off at 10 o'clock at night. And that's what I'm doing with my life. But I like to think everything that I've went through has got me to this point. So life does go on. Cherish the ones that you've lost. Remember them. But also embrace everyone that you still have. Now let's move on to the next question. Here it comes. It comes from Xavier the One, who says, thoughts on carne asada, fries, or tacos, or nachos? Well, that is probably going to be the most profound question of the night. And I think that's the question everyone wants to hear an answer to. Now, let me say this first and foremost. I'm not a big cheese guy. I don't like a lot of copious amounts of cheese on anything. I just feel like it's some kind of fat, lard goop that just gives me constipation. Now, don't get me wrong. A little bit of cheese goes a long way, and that's what I like. But when it's too cheesy, I just feel like I'm eating globs of grease. And it kind of grosses me out. It feels like sludge. It feels like the same sludge that Nancy and Jonathan were drowning in Hawkins' lab. So my point of this was, I like tacos. I'm going to go tacos. I'm going to go with tacos. I love me some good tacos. I'll go with that. Spooky Fards. How's it going, Spooky? Says, I'm going to have to pull a misery and hold the Duffer Brothers captive so I can forcefully make them write a better season. I think AI could have wrote a better season, but let's keep going. Also, why didn't 8 use her mind powers to make the soldiers not see her when she was escaping instead of shooting guns and making noise? You know, I asked myself that exact same question, and I'm not sure why she didn't use her powers. I could not tell you. I'm hoping she uses her powers in the finale to a grandiose way with some twists and some turns, but yeah, I don't know. And the biggest question you have to ask yourself is 8 evil? Is she good? Does she have a different ideology that aligns with Vecna, or is she going to be the hero who makes the ultimate sacrifice at the last second? And I feel like she might. But what do I know? Akai Nye. How's it going, Akai, man? Thanks for joining me. Hi, John. Hoping you and your wife had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You know, we did. I have no complaints about Christmas. I went to my mom's house. I went to my in-laws' house. We ate a lot of food. I mean, I ate like 7 Christmas dinners. I ate a lot of desserts. I probably was one bite away of going into a diabetic coma, but nevertheless, it never happened. So no complaints this Christmas season. And once again, I hope you guys had a good Christmas as well. But anyway, do you have any New Year's resolutions? For me, I'm hoping to get into better shape and growing my video production business for 2026. Well, those are some good ideas, man. Some good New Year's resolutions. My New Year's resolutions this year are, I have a couple YouTube ideas that I want to implement, and I think I'm going to start doing those because, like, I kind of get mad that I don't do them, but I'm going to dedicate the time and get some of these YouTube ideas down or get them out this year. I also, it's not necessarily a New Year's resolution, but I do need to get back into the gym. I feel like I'm getting, like, my goal for the last 2 months was to lose weight. Because after I got married, I was in the nesting phase. And when you go into the nesting phase after you get married, you just start eating a whole bunch of Cheetos and shit, okay? And that's what happened. And I gained like 30 pounds. But it was dad bod 30 pounds right in my midsection. Not so much here, not so much there, but mostly right here. And I'm happy to say I was able to get those 30 pounds off, but now it's time to rebuild the muscle. And I got to get back into the gym. Because I just feel like I'm getting too scrawny, I'm getting too skinny, and when the world finally collapses, I'm going to need to bench press my way out of that shit. So my goal is to get back into the gym, at least twice a week. That's the goal. But yeah, if you guys have any fun New Year's resolutions, please let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to read some of them. All right. River Eastburn, how's it going? Heard it was a great time. Oh, I don't know what that's for. Okay. Dustin Rich says, thank you, John, for protecting us all from your optic blast. Thank you, John. Well, hey, they just released the new Avengers Doomsday clip with Cyclops, so I was feeling like I had to hide my laser beam eyeballs. And by the way, I did see 7 seconds of that. And why is every single leaked Doomsday trailer literally shot with a phone from 2009 with even worse resolution that looks like saran wrap was in front of it and it was shot with a baked potato? Like, there's 3 pixels. I'm looking at 3 pixels on these leaked trailers. And it begs the question, one, why did you even waste the time uploading this? It's going to be we're going to see it in a week officially. And 2, I feel like these pixelated leaked trailers, I feel like they're a marketing tactic from the studio. I genuinely do. And I feel like they're going out of their way to release these teasers because, let's be honest, releasing these teaser trailers that you're going to see in a week anyway isn't really a detriment to anything. But releasing them in such shitty quality makes you want to see the HD version even more. So when you get that buzz going and you get that conversation spreading like wildfire, it makes people want to go see the official HD trailer in the theater. I feel like it's a marketing tactic. I'm just putting it out there. It was shot on a track phone. Yeah, I know. And I had a track phone back in 2011. That shit, it barely made phone calls. Yeah, Righteous Dare Bear says, I feel like the leaks are on purpose by Disney and Marvel, and the pixelation makes it look more forbidden. I completely agree with everything you're saying right now. It's like a little light bulb that blinks. The ending in Stranger Things Season 4 was jaw-dropping. Season 5 should have started from that moment. I agree. I think starting Stranger Things 18 months after the fact was 18 months too long. And I don't care if the logic is, hey, the kids look a little bit older, so let's make them look older. I still feel like it should have been like 4 months later, 3 months later. It should have been like the energy would have been alive. So I do agree with you. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Caleb. Thank you so much for the question. Little party popper pyro right in your melon. And Caleb says, John, hope you're doing well. I should have gone to bed 52 minutes ago for tomorrow's work. Fucking work. Biggest scam invented. Let's go back to hunting for our food and murdering those who wronged us. You know, sometimes I think about the structure of society that we live in, we're stuck in. We pay for food, we pay for water, we pay for electricity, we get tax on top of taxes on top of taxes, and just to exist, you have to go into debt, which is utterly disgusting that we all don't come together and just revolt against the system because we do have the numbers. The masses can demand what they want, and if we all simply just stop paying taxes tomorrow, guess what? Things would change. The system would implode, and we get what we want in a better way of life. But unfortunately, we're all compartmentalized and segregated and separated to where unity will never take place, and that's what the corrupt and the evil want. But anyway, back to your question. And your question was, oh yeah, work. Work sucks, man. I agree. The thing that you have to do in life is find a job that you don't hate doing. You don't need to love it, but you just don't need to hate doing it. And for me, I've come to the conclusion when it comes to jobs, autonomy is my number one priority. I don't mind working. I don't mind busting my ass. I don't mind doing any of those things. I just want to be left alone when I do it. That's it. That's all. But man, thank you so much for the question. All right, the next one comes from River Eastburn. How's it going, River Eastburn? Who says, hey, John, I flew to New York City to see the Stranger Things play, and it was fucking awesome. It was like watching the episodes right there in person. I highly recommend seeing it. I can't wait to see how they tie it into the finale. It definitely does feel like everything I know about the Stranger Things play, it definitely feels like they're using some of that inspiration for this final season. Now, I have not seen the play myself. My sister-in-law has seen the play. She's a huge fan of it. Her and my brother actually went out of their way on vacation and stopped off in the UK to see the Stranger Things play. So they're pretty dedicated. I've heard it's awesome. I would love to check it out at some point. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to New York to see it, but if it ever starts traveling, I will definitely try to check it out. Dustin Rich says, every time I hear about a new Doomsday trailer, I automatically assume it's AI and therefore don't care. Yeah, we're just getting a whole bunch of little character teaser trailers. It's cool, I guess, whatever. The next one comes from, I tried getting jobs so far, got rejected, or they never called back. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do. I guess, yeah. And you basically have to like email some automated system to hear anything back because no one knows anything. I understand your pain. I've been there. Also, have you seen Marty Supreme yet? I seen it and it was good. So I did see Marty Supreme. I talked about that in the last live stream. I have like a 5-6 minute review of it if you want to check it out. I liked Marty Supreme. I liked a lot about it. I like shithead characters that are deviant and almost villainous to some degree. And Marty Supreme is a piece of shit, but he is sort of like the main character of the story. And I like things like that. My biggest complaint with Marty Supreme, as far as like the movie goes, literally 45 minutes of that movie, right in the middle of it, is dedicated to a subplot about a dog. And it kind of just killed the movie for me. Like, it was just too much time dedicated to this subplot that I just stopped caring about. Like, it had the energy, it had the suspense, and then it just like whew, died. But I loved the ping pong table tennis aspects of it. I'm a huge fan of table tennis. I play it occasionally. I'm okay. I'm a mediocre player. But those scenes are a lot of fun to watch and super intense. And it was a movie that took place in the 50s, but it had this like vitality and this energy about it that sort of felt like it took place in the 80s, especially with something like the synthy music. At times I forgot I was watching a movie take place in the 80s or take place in the 50s. And I was like, this kind of feels like it could take place in the 70s or the 80s to some degree. It sort of had like a timeless vibe to it. But nevertheless, thanks for the question, River Eastbourne, and you get a party popper right to the face, man. Thank you so much. Okay, Harry Balls. How's it going, Harry Balls? And here it goes to Harry Balls. What movie surprised you the most? What movie surprised you the most this year? For me, it was One Battle After Another. The trailer seemed fine. And while the movie felt fast and random, certain scenes and lines really stuck with me and afterwards. And it became one of the best movies of the year. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Harry Balls. As far as my thoughts on One Battle After Another, Harry Balls, I didn't love it as much as some other people did. And I'm a huge Paul Thomas Anderson fan, like Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, two of my favorite movies from him. Phenomenal movies. Love them. And I think One Battle After Another, I think a lot of it I enjoyed, like the way it was filmed and some of the sequences, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character I thought was like the best character in the entire movie. But as far as like the entire movie goes, it just, I don't know. I wasn't in love with it as much as some other people were. I just kind of felt, I have no urge to revisit it anytime soon. So, but my favorite and most surprising movie this year, and I don't know if it's my favorite or most surprising, but it's one of them. It's going to be one of them. And this is going to lead me to the very impromptu Blu-ray collection update segment of this live show. So here it goes. Here's some new movies that I picked up over the last week or two, and a couple of these movies were sent to me. And by a couple, I mean just one of them. But the movie I want to specifically talk about is Begonia, starring Emma Stone. Now, this was sent to me. It's on 4K. And this is probably one of the biggest surprises of the year that I really enjoyed. Now, Begonia is a very simple movie. It's basically about a woman who's kidnapped, about two guys who are disillusioned and think she's part of this alien race and she's everything wrong. Excuse me. And Jesse Plemons plays a great shithead villain in this film. There's something about Jesse Plemons' role or his performances that just, they make him unsettling. He's a great sociopath, okay? And I love a great sociopath in a movie. about kidnapping that takes place in a basement. And maybe, just maybe, that's why American Psycho, or not American Psycho, but Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite movies. But anyway, I have not watched this on 4K. I hope it looks great. And this was one of my biggest surprises of the year. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I just like the dialogue that goes back and forth. It sort of feels like a stage play at times, just how it takes place in like one location or maybe two locations. Now, my biggest complaint with this movie is really just like the last little tidbit that they tack on that feels like an SNL sketch comedy. And I get why they did it. It's absurd. It's outrageous. But like, I could have lived without seeing that. But I had a good time with this. I think this had some of the best performances of the year. So yeah, I think Begonia is probably going in my top 10 of the year. So there's that. And I think Begonia, is it available now or is it available very soon? I don't know. But pick up Begonia on 4K. So big thanks to the studio for sending that to me. And by the way, when I first saw this movie poster in the theater in the hallway, I was like, what is that? What is that going to be, some art house film? And I was so wrong. So the other movie I picked up recently, my local Mega Replay store, it's a physical media store where they sell used physical media, video games, all kinds of fun nerd shit. It's a cool place. I go there probably once or twice a week. It's my escape from life, and I love it. But anyway, I went there the other day, and they were having a 50% off sale. Everything was 50% off as far as like physical media goes. And I was like, okay, I'm going to buy some shit. Now, it felt like everything else was like wiped out and gone. But I went up to the case where they keep all the expensive stuff, like the steelbooks, and I found a couple movies that I wanted to pick up. And keep in mind, these were 50% off. I picked up the steelbook of Wolf of Wall Street. This was like, I think this was like $12 or something, and I paid $6 for this, and it's worth like $30 on eBay. So it's the 4K steelbook of Wolf of Wall Street. I had to get this. I already own the 4K, but I had to own the steelbook. Is this my favorite looking steelbook of all time? No, it's basically just Leonardo DiCaprio's head, but I think there's more they could have done, creatively speaking, with that. But they have some $100 bills on the back of it, so I had to pick that up. But the cool steelbook I picked up was Reservoir Dogs on 4K. Now, I don't think I own this. I don't think I own this on 4K. Maybe I'm fairly certain I don't. I probably should have checked. But anyway, this was like $12 as well. For the 4K steelbook of Reservoir Dogs, which goes for like $30-something. Has a cool little slipcover on it. You open this bad boy up, and you got all the discs in there. And when it comes to Reservoir Dogs, you know, it's never been like my favorite Tarantino movie. Because I think that title goes to like Pulp Fiction or Django Unchained or The Hateful Eight or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I've always enjoyed it, and I haven't watched it in a couple years, and I've been meaning to go back and revisit it, and I figured why not do that on 4K? And also, like, I have been getting back into steelbooks, like especially 4K steelbooks in the last couple months. For some reason, I'm like, if I'm going to collect physical media, it's going to be steelbooks only. So I'm sort of getting back into steelbooks a little bit, so there's that. I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs in years. Yeah, me neither, man. Dustin Rich says, have you heard that there is supposedly a sequel to It Follows with the same director? I don't know if that excites me or worries me. Oh, I'm super excited for that. It Follows is like one of those movies I did not watch for the longest time. I don't know why. And then finally I did, and I was like, that is everything I wanted in a horror movie. And I'm looking forward to the sequel. I have no clue what it's about. I just want to watch it. So yeah, that gets me excited. John, are you in a drama, John? Yes, I am. I probably am. I think we're all aliens. We come from some kind of foreign bacteria to some degree, don't we? Okay, the next one comes from Brett6614, who says, if he didn't pass away, what roles could you have seen River Phoenix playing? Also, do an impression of John Campea in Nick Nolte's voice to give me life. That is a loaded question, but first and foremost, how about I give you a party popper right to the face for the super chat? There you go. Well, for our next main topic, and let me preface with this. Ann and I, we're going to take a vacation in our RV, and I think I'm going to take the show on the road. Now, that's if I don't retire in the next year or two, but take this with a grain of salt. Now, listen, that's my shitty John Campy impression, but you wanted me to do that as Nick Nolte. Well, for our next main topic, I don't know. That's all I got, man. It's getting late. Now, the first part of your question, the thought-provoking part of your question was, which roles could I see River Phoenix being in had he not passed away? And by pass away, I mean he overdosed on drugs in the Viper Room in Hollywood back in 1993, 4, 5, 6. Now, let's look at River Phoenix here, who was a great child actor. He was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Stand By Me. You got him right there. Now, hear me out for a second, and this is something I've had a theory on for a very, very long time. Now, had River Phoenix not died in the mid-1990s, pay close attention to him. Look at River Phoenix right there. Who does River Phoenix look like to you? I'll tell you who he looks like to me. He almost looks like a more handsome version of Leonardo DiCaprio. And he may have been a better actor than Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know. But hear me out for a second. I feel like if he had not died, I feel like all those roles that Leo got in the mid-1990s, and maybe Titanic included, I think would have went to River Phoenix. Just putting it out there. Just saying. I could see that. I could see Titanic starring an older River Phoenix. Anybody else? Let me know. How long has John been live? I've been live for 1 hour and 19 minutes. John, you said you looked like an alien in your older videos. I did, man. My head was all big. My neck was all skinny. I look like an alien. I did. I look like a xenomorph. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Xavier the One once again says, 2026 will be another disappointing year for cinema. And it very well could, but there are some big movies coming out in 2026 that I already feel like I'm more excited to watch than any movie that I watched in 2025. Just putting it out there. Like summer movies next year. We got The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan. We talked all about that trailer in the last live show. If you missed the last live show, definitely go watch that. We talked about a lot of stuff. I'm excited to see that. That looks like a real movie to me. Also, this upcoming March, we have a little movie called Project Hail Mary, which is probably based on my favorite novel I've ever read in my entire life, starring Ryan Gosling. And if you love space sci-fi, you're going to love Project Hail Mary. I think you're going to love it a lot. And if the movie is anywhere near as good as the novel was, which, by the way, the novel was written by the same guy who wrote The Martian, I think you guys will love this movie. The book kept me on the edge of my seat. I loved it. So I'm looking forward to that. There's also a handful of other movies coming out next year. We got Avengers Doomsday, if you want the big comic book movie of the year. So, it's going to be a fun time. And I'm sure there's some surprises along the way, some other big movies coming out. But I'm more excited about 2026 than I was 2025. That is for sure. Also, someone said the Michael Jackson movie. There's that. Clayface could be great. So much potential. Does Clayface come out in 2026? Does it come out like next fall? Or I thought it was 2027. Anyway. Hopefully Clayface is good. All right. The next one comes from Caleb. Caleb, how's it going once again? And Caleb says, John, can you read this for Skylar? Life is precious, as you said. It can be taken away. Cherish what you got, but don't be afraid to let go. I've dealt with a lot of death too. Don't ever lose hope, and never stop commenting on these live shows. Hashtag Flick Nation. Thank you so much for those kind words, Caleb. I agree. I agree with all those sentiments as well. So yes, indeed. Life is what you make it. It really is. Sometimes it sucks ass. It definitely does. Sometimes it's hard. Some days I don't want to get out of bed. Today was one of those days. I woke up and I felt like I had no energy to do anything. Maybe that's depression. Maybe it's the rainy season that we live in. Maybe they're sprinkling some kind of virus down from the heavens above and I'm inhaling it as we speak. It could be a multitude of all these things, including that our government is probably poisoning us with our drinking water. Or it's the microplastics in our drinking water. But with all that said, never give up, never surrender. All right? But thanks for the question, man. Also, not a movie, but I'm hyped for the new Malcolm in the Middle. I am too. When is the release date on that? I was looking that up the other day. I did not see a release date on the new season of Malcolm in the Middle. But I'll tell you what really gets me upset about it, damn it. The fact that the actor who played Dewey is not coming back, it just pisses me off because Dewey was my favorite character. That child actor, he had the perfect look of like sociopath and deranged hilariousness in his eyes that I don't feel like could ever be topped by somebody else coming in to replace him. So that's really the biggest detriment to the upcoming Malcolm in the Middle new season for me. The future is now old, man. Libby Film says, I'm excited for Send Help. What is Send Help? I saw that somewhere. What is that? Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding. That's one of those movies I just forgot existed. Yeah, so Send Help is going to be like a survival movie on an island. Now, I'm a sucker for a good survival movie. It's one of my favorite genres that I feel like we just don't get enough of. So anyway, the premise to Send Help is a woman and her overbearing boss become stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash. They must overcome their past grievances and work together to survive, but ultimately, it's a battle of wills and wits to make it out alive. Yeah, I love it, man. I just watched Castaway the other week for like the 27th time, and I was like, man, I want another good survival movie on an island. And then I remember watching this trailer, and I was like, okay, we're getting it. Cool. Now, will it be as good as Castaway? Probably not, but I'm excited to see it. When does this come out? It's directed by Sam Raimi, so I have some faith in it. It says 2026. Let me look at IMDb and see if there's a... Is there no release date on this shit? Oh, January 30th, 2026. Yeah, so it's coming out next month. So it's a January release, and typically that's the dead zone of cinema where all movies go to die. But lately, sometimes putting a movie in January is like a really good marketing move. Because once again, it is the dead zone. There's nothing else to watch, so no competition. But I am excited to check it out, so we shall see. Okay, the next one comes from Brett6614 says, Will wants to enter Mike's Upside Down. I think he did at one point, and now he's moving on. So there's that. But absolutely he did. Oh, dressed like a wizard. But thanks for the question. Better Ham, what is Better Hand MTV? Is that what I'm saying here? Okay, here it goes. Plans concealed. Now I'm eating mac and cheese alone in my hotel room. Listening to this, life is great. Oh, plans canceled. I can't read. Dude, you don't need to go out. Just hang out with me. You don't have to wear pants. You don't have to go out amongst the unwashed masses. We can just stay here and talk about movies together. So thank you. And enjoy that macaroni and cheese. A delicious, nutritious meal of macaroni and cheese. Oh, wait, I have a coupon for that. The thing that always pissed me off in Home Alone at the very end, like, Kevin knew what time the wet bandits were going to show up. He literally set a clock to go off. He got his battle plans ready. He set up all the booby traps in the course of like 2 hours, which, by the way, if I had to set up all the plans to stop the wet bandits as a 9-year-old boy, it would have taken me 3 days. And no way, no how would any of them actually have worked. Like tying a rope to a treehouse and having the bicycle handle, man, that would have taken 6 years for me to set up as a stupid little kid. but somehow he did it. Don't even get me started on the blowtorch. But anyway, the thing that always pisses me off right before that scene goes down is his macaroni and cheese he doesn't even take a bite. Not even one bite of it. What a waste. What about that monkey movie coming out in January? We already got a monkey movie this year. Who cares? I thought The Monkey was sufficient, don't you? Here's another movie about a killer monkey. I'm sure it'll be a classic. All right. Dustin Rich says, mac and cheese and movie talk. What else do you need in life? You don't need anything else besides a delicious caffeinated beverage. Okay, let's go to the next one. And the next one comes from Harry Balls. How's it going, Harry Balls, once again? What's your take on Quentin Tarantino describing Paul Dano's performance in There Will Be Blood as weak sauce? Yeah, I love me some Tarantino. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that take 100%. Now, why say Paul Dano was the best casting choice for like the Riddler? I don't know. I don't know if I loved that performance or hated it at times. When he started singing Santa Maria in Arkham Asylum, it's pretty much the only point in the Batman that I skip. I just can't stand it. I can't not stand that scene. But his performance in There Will Be Blood is this sniveling false prophet. Let me hear you say it, my good boy Eli. Let me hear you say it. Say you're a false prophet. Come on now. Let me hear you say it. I thought his performance in There Will Be Blood was really good. He was like this unlikable, weird guy that you just didn't trust, that seemed like a piece of shit. And I think that performance came across on the big screen. So I don't agree with that take. And the other thing that's really a detriment to Tarantino's argument on said take is I believe he said that he would have cast Austin Butler for that role. Now, to me, that is a misguided, misconstrued, bad take just because of that. You're going to say Austin Butler would have been better in the role than Paul Dano in There Will Be Blood. No. Blasphemy. Absolutely not. Disagree 110%. So, yeah, I don't agree with that. Like Paul Dano in the movie Prisoners. Who would have done better in that role? I don't think anybody. I think he was made for that role. He plays a seedy, weird dude that you cannot trust around children. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Maya Dixie Normus says, and I know the name. I know what you're doing with the name, man. I read it 5 minutes ago, and I couldn't wait to read it. We got Harry Balls and Maya Dixon Normus. Here it goes. Congrats, John, for winning your debut movie fights 9 years ago. You looked so young and buff and hot. Is this coming from Will Byers? Come on now. Come on, man. All right. Do you miss the cast in LA and filming your Screen Junkies Plus show? Well, thank you for that question. And yes, if you guys didn't know, I was on movie fights 3 times. I won 2 of my movie fights. So just putting it out there. And I feel like if I went back on movie fights now, I could be so much better than I was. I feel like I'm even more quick-witted than I was 9 years ago. But anyway, I'd like to go back and look at this, actually. Let's go back and look at Flick Pick on movie fights. Now, those were really fun and kind of scary at the time because doing movie fights 9 years ago, like, I wasn't as confident as I am now on YouTube. I guess I'm just at a point now I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. I really absolutely don't. I just want you guys to keep watching. That's pretty much it. But anyway, those were pretty nerve-wracking. And doing movie fights, you I gotta find it here. Hang on. Since Screen Junkies Plus is no longer a thing, where are all the movie fights? I found the old one. I found the one that was live. Huh. I found this old one here. But anyway, those are really fun. And the thing is, those movie fights, like, they give you the topics the day of that you're going to debate. And like, I would write down like 3 or 4 things to say in a notepad that I couldn't even read my own handwriting when I was doing the movie fights. The other thing I want to talk about was the studio where they shot the Screen Junkies stuff was so hot and small. Here it is right here. There's me. There's me 9 years ago. Good times, man. Good times. Look at me. Oh, look at that. Look at those biceps. I need to start working out again. But anyway, it was really fun and really intense. But when you're live and you have all the cameras and everyone's looking at you, it's so fucking hot in that studio because all the lights are above you and you're just profusely sweating. Like I was just wet from the neck down, dripping, moist, sultry. So that was a lot of fun. And you're trying to be funny and witty and you're just trying to remember what you want to say and everything's so timed. It's pretty fucking stressful. I won't lie. And then doing the Screen Junkies Plus show, if you guys didn't know, I did a show that was behind a paywall for Screen Junkies, and it was called Movie versus Movie, where I hosted a show where we talked about which movie to watch, and we had a debate, and we talked about like physical media and stuff like that. And there's only like 1 or 2 episodes you can find right now on the internet if you search it. But that was really fun. You know, it was really intimidating though at the time because I always had new hosts coming in and they always had like a multitude of shit I was supposed to say. And I'm like, listen, I'm a dude who talks about movies in his underwear in his mom's basement. Okay. And they had like 3 cameras. They had a guy for one camera, a guy for another camera. They had an editor. They had a guy with the, dealing with the audio. And I'm like, well, this is too much. So it was really fun though. It was really fun. And it seems like a lifetime ago. So let's see what I'm saying here, though.
As far as Jason Bateman, just look at a picture of that guy. You cannot see him kicking anyone's ass.
Anyway, I don't know. I think we're talking about who should play the new Iron Man and why. Yeah, but good times. Who did you pick for Iron Man? Who did I pick for Iron Man? Who did I pick for Iron Man? I think I picked Keanu Reeves.
Suffice. We don't have a Farrell. He describe him in a sentence. Describe not see him kick right Edgar and touch him. Bateman. Just look at a.
I think I picked Keanu Reeves. I could be mistaken. But I'm going to go with that. Did you ever do movie trivia schmodown? I did it once and I got my ass kicked. And the thing about movie trivia schmodown was, okay, so you're at the mercy of the topic that it lands on. And the topic that it landed on for me was indie darlings. A whole bunch of indie movies that 7 people watched. I was not one of them included. And that was a topic that we landed on. Of course, I got my ass kicked. The other thing about the schmodown was there was literally groups of people who would study for those. Like they would sit around on Discords, like studying for schmodown. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I either know it or I don't. So I did that once, you know, and I did that over like a Skype call or something. Yeah, I picked Keanu Reeves. All right. So anyway, yeah, it was a good time. I miss it. And thanks for the question, man. All right. Jacob Garcia says, do you think River Phoenix could have been the next Daniel Day-Lewis? I don't know if he would have been the next Daniel Day-Lewis, but I definitely think he would have been the next Leonardo DiCaprio. So thanks for the question, man. Okay. The next one comes from JRM 2017, who says, which is a better movie, Home Alone 1 or 2, and why? Well, this is a long-standing debate. Which movie is the better one, Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2? Well, I think the obvious answer is Home Alone 2 is objectively the better movie. Now, with all that said, Home Alone 2 basically retreads everything Home Alone 1 did, but it's a little more wacky. It's a little more fun. The scenery is a little more interesting. And I will say this, if I'm in the Home Alone mood, I've seen Home Alone so many times, I typically always just watch Home Alone 2. It's not as good as Home Alone 1, but it kind of gives you everything that movie does. But I like the variety of Home Alone 2. I like going to New York City. The only thing I don't like about Home Alone 2, and I think you probably know where I'm going with this, that's the disgusting pigeon lady. And the final scene in Home Alone 2, when she hugs Kevin and puts his face to her bosom covered in bird shit. You better go back up to your penthouse hotel room, Kevin, and wash that shit off as that homeless hobo sits down in Central Park all by herself on Christmas Day like she should because she's utterly disgusting. But I like Home Alone 2. I like it. And plus you go to Duncan's toy chest. It's just so much more fun. And you got Tim Curry in the movie being all weird and creepy and just like has a weird obsession with this 9-year-old boy. Like, what's going on with that? Let me just sneak into his room. Oh, he's taking a shower. Let me keep walking towards the 9-year-old boy. I'm going to get you, Kevin. Thank God it was an inflatable clown. I'll just say that. And by the way, speaking of Tim Curry, who played It, being frightened by an inflatable clown in the shower, well, everything is one big circle, isn't it? So anyway, I think Home Alone 2 has more rewatchability. For some odd reason, I just think it's like the movie you put on. And I've also found this to be true. Younger kids prefer watching Home Alone 2 over Home Alone 1. It's just more wacky. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Daniel Green, who says, and by the way, thanks for the question, JRM. That's a party popper right for the pigeon lady. Daniel Green says, John, my sister told me to say you are a worthless sack of nothing. I'm a worthless sack of wine. Anyway, I really don't know what she has against you anyway. Have you ever seen It's a Wonderful? You mean A Wonderful Life? Just watched it for the first time and loved it. Oh, I've seen A Wonderful Life like one time, and I probably should go back and revisit it again, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about the movie. It's just, I'd rather watch Home Alone as a Christmas classic. But I have seen it once. I remember watching it at my grandparents' house probably back in like 2005, 4, 3, somewhere in there. That's probably the last time I watched it. But I should revisit it at some point. Home Alone 2 is the funnier movie, I think. Yeah, Home Alone 2 definitely has more comedy in it. There was a lot of ideas that they scrapped for Home Alone 2. Like, I think at one point, Kevin, like the pigeon lady, was supposed to be like another teenage kid who was homeless, which I think would have been honestly preferable. I think that would have been the better way to go with Home Alone 2. Christian does not like Home Alone 2. He talks about it in his last show with Mike. Check it out, Johnny. That Christian, just awful, awful. Yeah, how can you not like Home Alone 2? What's wrong with you? Where's your Christmas spirit? Now, if your only reason for not liking Home Alone 2 is the pigeon lady, then I can live with that. But it better be justified. Chris Solomu says, do home inspectors make more than $100,000 in Indiana? If you owned your own business and you're super busy, you could. Yeah, absolutely. I don't make that much because I work for somebody else currently, but you could if you own your own business. It's possible, sure. Libby Film says, hey, John, you missed my super chats. Sorry to spam. You can spam anytime you want, man. Anytime, any place. Libby Films, are you sure I missed it? I'm going to scroll back down here, man. I'm going to look for it. I'm not seeing it here. Can you just retype your question in the chat? I'm sorry if I miss something here, man. I do my best. I don't see it, buddy. I really don't see it popping up anywhere. So if you can retype it, please do. Just type it in the normal chat and I will read it, okay? But anyway, thank you so much for the question, Daniel Green. And here's a party popper for your troubles. I'm either getting weak or that was the hardest party popper I've ever had to pull. All right, let's go to the next one. And the next one comes from Kevy Rez, who says, AEW World's End is better than the Stranger Things episode. I don't watch AEW. I've been to one AEW show back in 2019. I thought it was okay, but I'm not a huge fan. I'm more of a WWE guy. For better or for worse, I'm a lifelong WWE guy. Okay. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Maybe I'll check it out. Sometimes I watch some of the matches, I watch the clips of them on YouTube. All right. Ryman6000 says, "Hi, John. Have your thoughts on OG Star Wars trilogy and the prequels changed over the years? Let's pretend there's no sequels." Have my thoughts changed on Star Wars? I don't think they have. I genuinely do not think they have. Like the things that the prequels got right, I will still always enjoy. Like Revenge of the Sith. I enjoy some of that movie. I do. I really do. I think the final showdown sequence is a lot of fun. I think Attack of the Clones is just terrible. Everything about it's terrible. But I honestly have always stood up for the Phantom Menace. Say what you will. But I think there's a lot of fun to be had. And it was shot on film. It's not all digital looking. I appreciate shit like that. When it comes to the original Star Wars trilogy, my thoughts have always sort of been the same. Since like the 1990s, I feel like my thoughts on those movies have been the same. I like them. I don't know. Now, the sequels, the more I watch them, the worse they've become. Yes. Like A Force Awakens, it's hard to watch because every plot point and every character that they set up ultimately doesn't matter and won't have a payoff that's fulfilling. And then you watch the meta junk by Rian Johnson, which was just junk. And then you watch the Rise of Skywalker, which is probably one of the worst franchise films I've ever seen, that just felt like they were making it up as they went. And it was the most incompetent thing I've ever seen that costs $100+ million in a theater and bastardized everything that was good about Star Wars. And it literally killed Star Wars. That was the last. They should have called that movie The Last Hope, because it really was. And now I have no hope. So anyway, I hope that was a fulfilling answer to your question. Libby Film says, "I think it's funny that Chris Columbus not only left two major franchises after the second movie, Home Alone and Harry Potter, but he literally was supposed to do all the Harry Potter films. He was supposed to do all of them? Huh. I wouldn't have minded that, because after the second Harry Potter film, they kind of lost their whimsy. And they all started, like, the color grading got more desaturated. And by like the fourth or fifth film, it just looks like black and white. And I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to look at, like, I always tell my wife, she loves those movies. And I'm like, this is like a fantasy film. And like, this looks like some German art house movie that, like, what is this? This is fucking depressing to look at. Maybe that's just me. But I would have preferred if Chris Columbus directed all of the Harry Potter films. Yes, that's unfortunate. All right, let's go to the next one here. He left the Harry Potter franchise because of the stress of the productions, and I think it's crazy that he made some of the best movies ever and then fell off and then made Netflix movies. Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? What Netflix movie did he direct? Who directed? What's the last Netflix movie you directed? Imagine Home Alone and a Jingle All the Way crossover. Oh, yeah, where Kevin McAllister teams up with Arnold Schwarzenegger to take down the Wet Bandits and a team of Santa Clauses making counterfeit toys. I'd watch that. And then he looks at Kevin and goes, "I'm not a pervert. I just wanted a Doberman doll." That's crazy. I like the Harry Potter movies, but I'm glad they all got different directors. So be it, I suppose. Force Awakens gets worse and worse with every repeat. I cannot watch, since theaters, I can't rewatch that abomination against cinema. I just can't do it. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Harry Ball's back again. Man, Harry Balls is just giving it to me tonight. All right. Do you ever experience like a dreamy buzz where everything feels surreal after watching a movie in theaters? I experience this almost every movie. I do have surreal experiences where I sort of step out of my being and everything feels like I live in a simulation, especially movies sometimes. Yes, sometimes I watch movies and I can almost like, it feels like the most artificial thing I'm ever looking at. And it feels so surreal to me. And I do agree with you. And then you step out of the theater and it feels like you're transported to another dimension. It is sort of a weird, surreal vibe. I do kind of pick up what you're putting down. Psychohallucinogens also help enhance that experience, just FYI. Psychotropic hallucinogens. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, let's go to the next one. And the next one comes from Enriquem. Anyway, I can't read. Here it goes. Sean Penn, a better role in one fight after another. You mean one battle after another. John, thank you for being my friend. Please do Vecna saying, don't just stare at it, eat it. Okay, I will. You laid a lot on me right there, man. But don't just stare at it, eat it. I that's more of a Venom impression. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Run! William, it's time to suck my meat tentacle again. You were so weak. That's why I put my beef jerky in your mouth. Okay, can you, do you think Stranger Things can be saved? They have an hour, or they have 2 hours to make these last 7 episodes mean something. They also have 2 hours to fulfill all of our wants, needs, and desires to conclude Stranger Things. Do I think these last 2 hours can save it? I don't know, because based on the writing thus far in season 5, I don't know if it's going to get better, or I don't know if it's going to get worse. And I'm hoping it gets better. Now I'll talk all the shit I can, and I'm sure it will be entertaining. And I'm sure there's going to be some fun moments. But will they deliver on the expectations? And maybe those expectations are too high. They are. Any season finale of any show, the expectations are always too high. But I'm hoping. And once again, we will talk all about it probably this Thursday or Friday on the next live show. So look out for that. What killed the dinosaurs? Stranger Things 5. I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one. And the next one comes from Cali 2 Zone 32. Sorry, the font is like literally this big and I have shitty eyesight. Which romantic movie best relates to your marriage? Probably American Psycho. Don't just look at it, eat it. That's a fine Chardonnay you're drinking. No, best maybe Superbad. I don't know. 10 Things I Hate About You. I don't know. That's a good question. Sleepless in Seattle. I was going to say Forrest Gump, but I'm not going to. No, that definitely does not relate. So I don't know. I hope one of those does. I'm trying to think of a romance movie that does best relate. I kind of feel like our relationship is like Ellie Sattler and Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park. I feel like I'm the Dr. Grant and she's the Ellie character. I think that's a good representation. All right, let's keep going. But I'm a little mix of Jeff Goldblum too. You see what the water did there? Yeah. That's called chaos theory. All right. The next one comes from Anonymous once again, who says, do you remember that time John Campea was tricked into saying the N-word in a super chat? It still makes me laugh once in a while. I do vividly remember that moment. Yes, I do remember that moment. I also remember the moment where he talked about Transformers 2 and the two Autobots in that movie that didn't come back for another sequel. Yes. John, drop some of your favorite movies. I need movie recommendations. I don't know what else I can say that I haven't already said over the years for movie recommendations. Watch my top 20 movies of all time video from 15 years ago. Did you watch every single one of those movies? Let me know. You will have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right? Excuse me. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. We need to meet at some point when you go to Chicago next. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to Chicago next. Could not tell you. Last time I went there, I went to the Home Alone house and I had my anniversary. And yeah, that's the last time I went to Chicago. The next one comes from Jesus Salcido. How's it going, Jesus? And thank you for the question, man. Party popper, right to your mouth, man. Open up. Here it goes. Jesus says, hello, John. Isn't it crazy how there are serial killers out there right now that we have no idea about? Also, what's your favorite fast food? Weird questions, I know. Yes. Very, very different questions, but I enjoyed both questions. Well, my favorite fast food, the one that I typically go to, because I don't trust fast food, and the later it gets at night, the less and less I trust fast food. So there's that. But one of my favorite fast food chains I go to is a place called Culver's, because they cook it to order. That shit ate under a heat lamp for 7 hours. And generally, I trust the people that work there not to pick their nose and put it in my food, typically. They all seem like nice people. So that's one of the places I typically go. It's called Culver's. I just had it tonight, actually. It was pretty good. Very greasy burger, though, but very good. Now, let's talk about serial killers, shall we? I know I want to. They're out there. They're amongst us. They're looming. Now, statistically speaking, the odds of being murdered by a serial killer are very low, but they do exist. And it's fascinating, isn't it? It's scary. Now, as a dude who's like 6 foot, 200 pounds, the odds of me becoming a victim of a serial killer are very low. They are very low. But like, I tell my wife every time, I'm like, listen, like you have a 50-50 chance of being abducted in every parking lot you enter. So there's that. Where was I going with that? I don't know. But they're out there. They're amongst us. And I feel like there was a time back when I was like, I think I was 12 or 13 years old. A friend and I were walking down the road, and there's this beat up piece of shit like van with a guy, and he pulled over, and he's like, hey, do you guys want to ride? I can give you a ride. And this dude just looked like he was on some registry list where he's not allowed to live within 500 feet of a school zone, if you know what I'm saying. He had the big glasses on that... He had the look. If stereotypes existed, he looked the type, right? And he was adamant. He's like, hey, I can give you a ride. You guys want to go down the road? I can give you a ride wherever you're going. And we're like, nah, it's like right down the street. We're good, man. And he's like, no, just come on. And I'm telling you right now, had we gotten that car, that van, I don't think we were going to get out of it. I'm just putting it out there. So there's that. I found a hair in my food from Jack in the Box. Yeah, there's nothing worse than finding a hair in your food. I went to Noodles and Company 2 years ago. I found a hair in my pan Chinese noodles. And it was a thick hair. A thick blonde hair. And guess what? I have not been back since, and I will never go back. Ugh. Yeah, man, there's nothing worse than that. Nothing worse. I have been on a kick, though, for a while now. I go to Panda Express probably once a week. I like Panda Express. I get the chow mein noodles and double orange chicken. If you get anything else on the menu, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. Would you put Warrior in your top 20 movies? Nah, I don't think I'd put Warriors in my top 20 movies again. Now, would I put the movie Warrior with Tom Hardy in my top 20? Probably not. Nah. You weren't there when my mother was on her hands and knees puking up blood in the house with that heat. Nah, you got someone getting drunk. So why don't you take your war stories down to the VFW? Because maybe they'll give a damn. That's my Tom Hardy impression. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Uranium Cranium. Says, I was at Taco Bell with my friend, found a rock in his food. That is fucking disgusting. Ha! Now, I will say this about Taco Bells. Taco Bell is either going to be the best food you eat at 12 o'clock at night, or it's going to be dog food that gives you food poisoning. There's no in between when it comes to Taco Bell. It's either the most delicious thing you've ever eaten, or it's dog food. Now, I will say this. There is one Taco Bell in my town that always has a group of like dudes that work there late at night, and they're like really nice guys, like really nice, like well-spoken, and they always like, you can tell they're like in there working, they're listening to music, but they're like making the food really quick, super nice. And I always go out of my way to go to that Taco Bell. Now, it's out of my way. There's like 3 Taco Bells closer. I don't risk it. I don't risk it when it comes to Taco Bell. I go to where I know the service is good, because there's nothing worse than being disappointed. So I drive out of my way to go to this Taco Bell every time. I get a quesadilla, and the one thing I always get from Taco Bell is I get a Baja Blast because it makes me feel like the white trash I am, but it's utterly delicious. Let's all be honest with ourselves. And the other thing you have to get from Taco Bell are cinnamon twists. And then at the bottom of the bag of the cinnamon twist, you have all the crumbs, and you just pour it in your mouth and you drink them. Oh, I feel so trashy when I do it, but I love it. I love it. All right. Smash the like button if you want. Please do. It does help that YouTube algorithm. So if you want to stick it to corporate America and Google, push that like button now. All right, let's go to the next one here. I feel like we were just talking about serial killers and fast food, and somehow we went off topic. But anyway, hey Zeus, thank you for the question, man. All right, DJ Run says, Merry Christmas. Sorry if you mentioned it before, but how was your Christmas? What did you get your wife for Christmas? What are your New Year's plans? We talked about New Year's resolutions. Probably going to start going to the gym, being a little more consistent. But my wife and I, we have this pact. We don't buy each other anything for Christmas. It's stupid. Because throughout the year, we just buy what we want. Oh, you want? I'm going to buy what I want because I'm an adult. I'll just buy it off Amazon right now. I'm not going to wait 6 months for this for Christmas, okay? But what we do is we basically just combine our forces, and our gift to ourselves we do a couple's day at a spa. Because you go into the steam room, it's relaxing, it's cathartic, it's delectable. And then we do like a couple's massage. Oh, my lower lumbar needs it. So that's typically what we do for Christmas. You got to treat yourself every once in a while. Okay, let's go to the next one. Actually, can you guys give me like 20 seconds of a break? I'm not going to go anywhere. Just give me 20 seconds. If you guys have to use the bathroom, get a refill on your popcorn, now's the time to do it. Add some more ice cubes to that beverage that you're sipping on. 3 ice cubes, no more, no less. I just really need to blow my nose, and I'll be right back in 20 seconds. So here we go. And we're back. All right. Let's keep going, guys. We got more questions, and I'm happy to answer them. John abandoned us. I will never abandon you. Now, I will punish you for the most insignificant crime, but I will never, ever cast you out for the most significant. How much is a spa day? I don't know. A spa day is usually like it's like $150 per person. But I will say this about the spa that we go to: they serve you alcoholic beverages in a robe. So I'm just in a robe walking around by a fireplace, and they're like, "Would you like another beverage?" And yes, I abuse that shit. I'm like, "Give me a Blue Moon with a tea and an ice water and a caffeinated soda," and then I don't go that extreme, but it's quite delectable. It's nice to do it once or twice a year. You want to see the snot? I'll tell you what. You send me a prepackaged envelope, and you give me $10 right now, and I will send it to you. I will send my DNA to you right now. All right, let's go to the next one here. I will make it a perk on my Patreon. Here it goes. Side Mike, how's it going, Side Mike? Happy New Year, John. Any plans? Sending love. Well, Side Mike has been a member for 48 glorious months, so thank you, Side Mike. And we talked about Christmas. We talked about plans. So really the biggest plan this week is to watch Stranger Things and hopefully not be let down. By the way, John, Chris Columbus directed Thursday Murder Club on Netflix. Oh, okay. I didn't watch that. John is getting buzzed at the spa. Absolutely. Why would I not? I want to get buzzed right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of want to go grab a Jack and Coke right now and take a shot with you guys. Uranium Cranium says, I thought they served champagne at those spas. Oh, they serve champagne, but I'm trashy, so I get a Blue Moon, and it comes in a frosted mug. It is delish. I missed the Stranger Things Part 2 review. Did John like it overall? I had some thoughts, so if you want to see it, just scroll back. Or you can watch the replay of the live show. That's up to you. Okay, the next one comes from Michael Witherspoon, who says, I might be in the minority here, but I came to respect Sydney Sweeney even more of late. You know what's odd about that? Me too, man. Me too. I never thought I would say, I respect Sydney Sweeney, but I kind of do. When it comes to her stance on things in interviews, she doesn't back down. She doesn't people please. She kind of just like says what she wants. I respect that shit. But anyway, let's continue on. Mostly because she didn't bow down and apologize for doing the ad about jeans. It's crazy we live in a society that makes us apologize for everything. Thoughts? Oh, I will never apologize for things. Almost to a fault, but I won't do it. Now, if I'm completely wrong and I come to the conclusion that I am wrong and I said something that I should say I'm sorry for, I think I will. I will man up and do it. But typically everything that spews out of my mouth like word vomit, I'm not going to take that shit back. I stand by it. And I think if someone's too sensitive to take what I have to say, then I just don't care to hear their feedback. If you're too sensitive to take my viewpoint, then I don't want to give you my viewpoint. Thus, unsubscribe, ban me, block me. I don't care. Because you're gonna be one of those hollow souls that inch down the freeway, and you're always gonna seek out what you always want to hear. And people like that never hear anything new or useful in life. So my best advice to people like that is, why don't you go into a mirror, say everything that you want to say, and then just move on with life? Because really, at the end of the day, that's what you want, isn't it? You just want someone to accredit your own opinions. So, I guess fuck them. And here's a party popper. Go fuck yourselves. Everyone's so sensitive now. Everyone's so sensitive and everyone's afraid to have a real opinion. Doesn't that just go against everything that society should be? Especially when it comes to like the movie side of things. If you're too scared to have an opinion, what are you doing talking about movies? All right. Dustin Rich says, John, you missed one of my comments earlier. Please apologize. I am so sorry, Dustin Rich. I will punish myself now. I will never do it again until the next time I do it again. Can you just ask the question here again, Dustin Rich? I don't feel like I missed your question. I may have, but I don't think I did because I'm marking every single one that I read, and I'm not seeing any missed questions unless it was in the normal chat, which is a possibility. But anyway. Exactly how I feel about it too, John. Would love to see Joaquin Phoenix star in an all-out horror alien film. Well, he kind of did that. It was called Signs. That's why I don't watch Twitch streams. You say one thing and the streamer will ban you. Well, they're children, and they grew up in the TikTok era, and they're afraid to have real opinions because you have to agree with what everyone else is saying. It's a thing. Hey, John, if you were home alone, what would you do? I probably, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I truly do. If I was Kevin McAllister and I was home alone, much like I am right now, and the Wet Bandits try to get into my house, the first thing I would do is scream like a little girl. Then I'd run and lock myself in a closet, and the Wet Bandits would eventually break down the closet and probably just bite off every single one of my fingers one at a time, slit my throat, and leave my dead body on the floor for my parents to find when they came home. That's what would happen if I was at home alone. Yeah. So there's that. But the biggest question you also have to ask yourself is, well, never mind. You know what? We'll just leave it there. For the best, we'll leave it there. Marty Supreme was great. We talked about that earlier. I liked Marty Supreme. Definitely probably not like my favorite movie of the year. It's just that whole subplot with the dog thing that really bogged down the story for me. I was like, this is taking so much time. What are we doing? I don't even care anymore. Jeremy Johns had a good top 10 of the year. Kill Bill double feature was a good pick for number 1. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Kill Bill, I guess because they have new footage and it's technically a movie of 2025, I guess that counts. Because a couple years ago when they did the re-edit of Rocky 4, I put that in my top 10 of the year. I have not seen the new Kill Bill movie, the double feature. I have not seen it yet, so there's that. What would you do if you were in Arnold's shoes in Jingle All the Way? Oh, I probably would have just stolen the little asshole kid's Turbo Man doll in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like, who cares? This is mine now. Thank you. Bye. Your dad's a sex offender. There you go. So this is the price you pay. And that's what I would have done. Here you go, Jamie. It's a Turbo Man doll. Did you like Uncut Gems? I liked Good Time more. I definitely think Good Time is my favorite movie of theirs from the Safdie brothers. Uncut Gems was a fine one watch, and all of their movies have this unsettling undertone where it kind of gives you anxiety. It's like everything bad that can happen always does happen, and then you have kind of like a shady shyster main character that you're living the story through, where they're almost like a con artist of sorts. And I like those types of characters, but I think Good Time got it right. So I always thought Good Time was by far and away the best movie from them. Why are all these YouTubers dying? Yeah, the one guy who did the unboxing videos, he passed away, didn't he? I that's what I heard. I've seen him like 2 or 3 times in person. I was never like a huge fan of his channel. But I know it was super popular and people loved it. But I saw him. If someone could tell me the name of the Lamar Wilson, yes, Lamar Wilson. Is that the guy? Let's look him up. That's who passed away, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. You know, the guy was born in 77, so he was only 48 years old. And I saw Lamar Wilson actually last year. I went to Los Angeles for this Sony thing that they invited me to. And I have a Flick Trip video on the Flick Pick channel if you guys want to check that out. But I went there, and he was at the Sony event, and I saw him. I didn't talk to him or anything, but yeah, so it's insane, man. How old are you, John? I was born in 1987. Just remember, the same year Over the Top came out is the same year I also came out. John, are you going to answer my super chat? I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I don't see it on here. Is it? Can you type it in the normal chat? I'll get to it. I don't see it yet. Sorry. Anyway, Martin S. says, John, I live near an elevated subway station in New York, and there is a large sign by the entrance that says, do not feed the pigeons, and yet people feed them right under the sign and refuse to stop. There is bird shit all over the place. What do I do? Well, you blame the pigeon lady. She's the one who started it. It's her fault. This epidemic is to blame on her. She is patient zero. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't know what to do with that problem. I don't know. That's why I don't live in a major metropolis. I just don't want to be covered in bird shit all the time. Just go out there with a sign. But good luck with the pigeon shit, man. All right. Michael Witherspoon says, just wanted to send a chat and say thank you, John, for all that you do. This is random, but my fiance heard me listening to one of your streams. And she looked at me and said, now I see where you get half of your humor from. Thanks for being you. Well, thanks, Michael Witherspoon, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot, man. And it does mean a lot. You know, I have a dedicated following here on these live streams. And if anything, the live streams are my favorite thing to do on YouTube. And I think it's the best thing I've ever done on YouTube. And I don't think I'll ever stop doing the live streams on YouTube because it's the most enjoyable thing I do on YouTube. So thanks for that, man. I appreciate that. I think some of you understand where I'm coming from. You guys pick up what I'm putting down, and I appreciate that shit. So thank you, man. And keep in mind, with that, your gratitude and you guys watching, even if you just watch the live streams and never chime in, that's okay. But you guys keep me somewhat mildly relevant in the movie space on YouTube. And I mean mildly relevant. And also, you guys do help make YouTube shit possible. So I do thank you guys. I do. You guys get the credit. So thanks, Mike. Van Daminator 00. And it's a good thing that she liked what you're watching. She's like, okay, I see why you're a douchebag because of that guy. But also, I take that as a compliment as well. So thank you. All right, here it goes. Van Daminator 00 says, I watched Jingle All the Way for the first time ever last month. Heard it was supposedly loosely based on people fighting over Power Ranger toys in 1993. Well, no, I think it was inspired by the Tickle Me Omo doll in like the 90s as well. I think, and maybe it was inspired by both of those things. Or like the Furby, little junky Furby toys that I don't know why anyone wanted those Furby toys. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Let's look them up. Just boring, stupid bullshit toys. I don't know why people wanted these stupid things. I never understood it. Like, look at this boring piece of shit. Look at this little ball that just like its eyes mechanically move because it senses you and makes a noise. Like this looks so boring to me. That was like, why would you want this? Like when this shit came out, it's like, why don't you want an N64? Like, what is wrong with you? I knew these things would be a fad, and they were. But anyway. And I'm sorry if you guys were fans of those. I'm sorry. The Tickle Me Elmo, I can understand. Because having a little toy that you can tickle, it says some weird shit. Like, okay, I get that. I get that. But not the Furby stuff. All right. Brittany Gym Lover says, John, are you going to answer my... where is your super chat? I don't see it. Can you ask it in the normal chat? I'm looking at it right now. Let me scroll back. I'm looking here, man. I'm looking. I do not see these questions that you say. I'm looking right at it. Unless they're not popping up for some odd reason. If you type them in the normal chat, I will just do your best to put them in the normal chat. I will try to answer them. Okay, here it goes. Thoughts on doing dong ditch? Yeah, I've done that many times when I was a kid. It was fun before people got Ring doorbell cameras and they could just watch you do it. Tickle Me Elmos were in the early 2000s, I think. Were they? I thought they were in the late 90s. Do you ever watch any Christmas movies during Christmas? Absolutely. I go out of my way to watch Home Alone 1 and 2, Jingle All the Way. This year I did not get a chance to watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's the one I always like to watch as well. What else is there? I've seen The Christmas Story probably 973 times throughout my life, so I kind of skipped that one. So anyway, Tyrone Magnus is turning weird. I never watched him. Reaction channels just never did it for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I've done some reactionary videos in my life, but like, when you do it for everything, it's just like, ugh. Favorite line in Jingle All the Way? He got two! Obviously put the cookie down. John, have you ever won any competitions in your life? Competitions? I was in the top 5 for amateur wrestling in middle school in my district. I also, in 2nd grade, there was an art contest because the Olympics were coming to Athens, Georgia in 1996. And they were doing this competition for all the schools or elementary schools in Georgia. And I drew a picture of a weightlifter lifting weights. And it won something. It won a prize and was in a magazine or something. So I've won a couple competitions. I don't know if I won anything else, but I've won those. Why? What are you getting at here? You calling me a loser? Thanks, Dad. All right, here it goes. Brittany Jim Lover says, here it is. Lord of War or War Dogs, and also Canada or Mexico. I don't know. I've been to Canada once. I've never been to Mexico, but I like to think Mexico's benefit is you can go there and get like medical treatment so much cheaper. Like, oh, I want stem cells. Let's go to Mexico. You know, I want pharmaceuticals. I can afford them in Mexico. So that's kind of a cool thing. War Dogs or Lord of War by far is the better movie, especially when it comes to gun running. Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage, is probably one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies of all time. You sat there and you look at me and you're going to call me the personification of evil, but there will be a knock on that door and I will leave. You'll throw a fit. You'll threaten to resign. But at the end of the day, I will be let go. I love me some Lord of War. And they are supposed to be making a sequel to Lord of War. Now, let me follow up with that. Let me give you a backstory on the movie Lord of War, shall I? And that's a movie recommendation for you guys. If you've never seen the Nicolas Cage movie, Lord of War, please go watch it. I think you will enjoy it. But I remember, it was back in 2005. And it was on a day of high school where... in my high school, you were allowed to miss 5 days per semester before, like, you were kicked out of school or something like that. So I always made sure to miss 5 days. If I'm at 4, I'm going to miss 5. And my friend and I both decided to have a skip day. And we always made our skip days on, like, a Friday. Because now you got a 3-day weekend. Yes, please. So we went to go see Lord of War that Friday that it had just opened on one of our days that we cut class. And I remember doing that like vividly. And I looked over at him at one point when Jared Leto was snorting coke off a chair. And I went, hey man, I think we're supposed to be in like English class right now. And he's like, yeah. So good times. There's a Power Rangers reference at the start of the movie with the color villains. Are you talking about Jingle All the Way? Yeah, the whole thing felt like Power Rangers parody. Booster? No one cares about Booster. Yeah, we hate you, Booster. The thing you have to enjoy about Jingle All the Way, directed by Chris Columbus, is Sinbad in that movie plays a disgruntled postal worker. And there's a point in that movie where they're confronted by a whole bunch of police officers, and he literally takes a package out, makes a terroristic threat, then leaves the package on the ground, and then the cop opens it, the bomb blows up, and they run away. And you think to yourself, well, how could you ever get away with this? And then at the end of the movie, Jingle All the Way, Sinbad's character is arrested for like a multitude of felonies and terroristic threats, while Arnold's character, with his, his white privilege, gets to leave the crime scene dressed like Turbo Man with his son and go home happily ever after. But Byron, in the movie, he does get the Turbo Man doll from Jamie, so there's a good moment. But it's like, hey man, your dad's going to give you a Turbo Man doll for Christmas, but unfortunately, it's going to be taken in as evidence because your dad's going to be arrested on 47 felony accounts, including kidnapping and blowing up a bomb in a public building. So he's probably not going to be home for Christmas anytime soon. But what a happy ending Jingle All the Way was. All right, let's keep going here. Hey, John, hope you had a Merry Christmas. Well, Libby Films, I hope you did too, man. Dustin Rich says, I'm not going to work tomorrow. I wouldn't say I'm missing it, Bob. Yeah, the best advice I can give you guys is you never quit your job. You don't ever quit a job. You just stop going. That's the best advice I can give you. And I took that advice from Office Space and I ran with it. And I don't think I've ever really quit a job. I just stopped going. Sinbad has great teeth. He does. He really does. All right. The next one comes from oh, we answered that. Fidel. How's it going, Fidel? John, I share the exact same order as you do for Panda Express. I'm a simple man. I don't need anything else on my plate. And if I follow it up by going to the movies afterwards, I'm even happier. Yeah, I try to avoid the public after I eat Panda Express because it really does, like, it never sits perfectly right with me. I need to be in a safe, quiet place after I eat Panda Express. It's the best for everyone. I promise you, it's the best thing for society. But yeah. Now, if I go to a movie theater with food, the only food I typically take in a movie theater is like a Subway sandwich. I feel like that's appropriate. But yeah, if you go to Panda Express, the only thing you need is double orange chicken. Joker Face 501 says, imagine a young Alan Rickman as Doctor Strange. Yeah, okay, yep. Snape is Doctor Strange. Yeah, I can see it. I'd be okay with that. If you made a 1990s Avengers movie, Alan Rickman as Doctor Strange, yeah, I'm cool with that. Alan Rickman. John McClane. Why a spoon, cousin? Because it's door, you nitwit. All right. I love me some Alan Rickman, man. Best character villain actor of all time. All right. Phil Moon D says, who is your first celebrity crush and the latest celebrity crush besides your wife? I don't know. I think Sydney Sweeney's fun to watch in movies like Housemaid. Scarlett Johansson, I always kind of had a crush on a little bit, starting with the movie The Island. Growing up, I was a huge fan of... well, I'll just show you guys. Can we all just conclusively agree Catwoman in Batman Returns? Just like when she puts that bird in her mouth, that just... And her hanging out with the creepy penguin. I was like, listen, when I was a kid and he was like, I'll show her my French flipper trick. I was like, I don't know what that is, but one day I'm going to figure it out. And one day I did. So we'll go with that right there. We'll go with that. I also always, when I was younger, had a crush on Jennifer Connelly, The Labyrinth. You know I can't spell very good. Yeah, but Jennifer Connelly in The Labyrinth, when I was a kid, now this came out in the late 1980s, and she plays a babysitter. And then she goes off to the labyrinth because David Bowie kidnaps a child. But anyway, I always had a crush on her. I was like, oh, I want a babysitter like that, Mom. How do we do that? So those were a couple when I was younger, sure. Mine right now is Bryce Dallas Howard, and childhood was Ariana Grande. See, yeah, Ariana Grande was not part of my childhood. And now you look at her and you're just like, ooh, John, favorite James Gunn film? My favorite James Gunn film? I mean, probably the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess. Unless there's something I'm not thinking of, but I probably go with that. It's definitely not the new Superman movie. Can I say something? Can we all just step back for a second and objectively think about this? Just hear me out for a second, okay? And I want you to chime in. Just give me a simple yes or no or a maybe. After you watched the new Superman movie this summer, directed by James Gunn, who has full creative control of the DC universe, after you watched that new Superman movie, does that give you a lot of faith and excitement for the DC universe going forward? Like, listen, even if you liked the movie and thought it was entertaining as a Superman movie, is that necessarily like the vibe and the tone you want to see with all your favorite DC characters and properties revolving around that? Like, is that what you want to see, or were you hoping for something a little more epic? Because it's not what I want to. It's really not the vibe I'm hoping for. I'm just putting it out there. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, great, phenomenal. He got it right. But I think what he's doing now with the DC thing, it's just not working. It's not working for me. Here it goes. We got a yes. We got a no. Is there no superhero fatigue right now? I would be excited. Listen, there's nothing wrong with a good superhero movie. Like Fantastic Four, I thought was a good Fantastic Four movie. I'm excited for Avengers Doomsday. Just give me good comic book movies. I'm more than content. It was okay. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It was okay. I watched it 2 times and I'm like, I don't feel like I need to watch this again. Growing up, I like Christina Ricci. Yeah, I did too. As Wednesday Addams, I absolutely did. Jennifer Connelly is still beautiful. Oh yeah, she aged like fine wine. I love seeing her in Top Gun Maverick. I like seeing her even more in Requiem for a Dream. Anyway, Dustin Rich says, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman changed me, John, and there was no going back. Well, once you put a bird in your mouth, there definitely is no going back. All right. The next one comes from Brittany Jim Lover, who says, please rate Don't Breathe and its sequel out of 10. Don't Breathe. I would give Don't Breathe like a B-. I thought the turkey baster sequence was entertaining. And then the sequel just was terrible. I thought it was like a terrible movie, terrible sequel. And I don't remember much about it. And I think that's probably for the best. I watched it in theaters, and I think I forgot about it the next day. So those are my thoughts on it. I think the second movie I would give an F. Did anyone like I Don't Breathe Part 2? Oh, and Don't Breathe 2 tried to make Stephen Lang's character like this good guy character. Like, they tried really hard to do it. And I'm like, no matter how you twist or turn this shit, he still tied a chick down in his basement with a turkey baster, man. Come on. Like, you can't redeem that. Or maybe you can. I don't know. Who do you love more, Christina Ricci or Winona Ryder? Probably Christina Ricci. I like Winona Ryder though in Stranger Things. I mean, she was a good actress. Home Alone 2 is the best Rob Schneider movie. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Okay, the next one comes from Bryce Tiffany, 8507, and thank you for the question. Here you go. Here's a party popper just for you. 3, 2, 1. Keep the change, you filthy animal. John, you sexy mofo. I'm high as F right now. Watching you on my Sony Bravia 8. I got this year. Staring at every single one of your beautiful pores. Well, thank you so much for that, man. I have a Sony Bravia 8 as well. So thank you for that. They're really good TVs, man. They look really great. I will always give props to Sony. And the other thing about Sony, their surround sound system that connects to their TV, top notch, man. Just perfect, always perfectly calibrated, sounds great. So yeah, I have a Sony LED TV, and it's like the best LED TV I've ever seen, by far and away. Never had one problem with it. John, do you watch Film Threat, John? I do not. We talked about season 5 of Stranger Things earlier for 30 minutes. If you want to check it out, scroll back. We talked all about it. Dustin Rich says, Supergirl is going to be such a pathetic failure. I can't wait. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the Superman movie, like, with all the marketing, the marketing for that Superman movie that came out this summer, I don't think I remember a movie being pushed or marketed as much on social media in the last 5 years as much as Superman was. And the fact that movie did okay, like it made money, but it didn't do like that amazing, that's really telling. And the fact that now you're doing a secondary character to Superman, Supergirl, which even less people give a shit about. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm excited to see Jason Momoa's Lobo in there. I think that's kind of cool. But like, it's going to do like 1/5 as good as Superman did. It has like 1/20th the fan base. If that. I think that's almost being generous. So like, I don't know how well that, like, I don't know what the budget is for the movie, but it might be profitable. But at the same time, it feels like one of those filler movies they have to do to maybe get to the next step. But I don't see it doing that well at the box office. I really don't. Even if it's great, I still don't see it doing that well at the box office. I just think everything Supergirl related has never been that successful. Do you think the set of Gangs of New York looks realistic? You know, sometimes it does, but other times it looks like very artificial. And I was always curious. I was like, is this what it was supposed to look like? Because sometimes it does look like they're on a set in Gangs of New York. I like the movie, but if that's what New York looked like in the late 1800s, then so be it. John, thoughts so far on Linda Hamilton and Stranger Things? Listen, I like me some Linda Hamilton. Always have, always will. Always will Byers, that is. No, I think her character's sort of generic. She's sort of like the generic female version of Dr. Brenner without the science backing her thought process up. And she's just like a boring antagonist. And that's the whole military in in season 5. They always just sort of feel like placeholders. But with all that said, I do have an autographed Terminator 2 Judgment Day poster signed by Linda Hamilton, 5 feet that direction. So hopefully her character dies in the final episode. How about that? Dustin Rich says, if Supergirl makes money, I'll move into your attic. Like Gary Busey did in the movie Hide Her in the House. I hope you do. Which cartoons did you love to watch after school? That's a great question. So when I was in school back in the early 90s, I took the bus home from school, which was a tedious, boring process, and I don't even know how I made it home alive. But it felt like I was on the bus forever. And what would happen is they would have Batman the Animated Series that would play after school every day. And if the bus was running late, I would miss it. I would miss at least 10, 15 minutes of the show, and it pissed me off. But Batman the Animated Series was always awesome. It was like the little treat I always looked forward to when I came home from school. What was that treat? A gothic vigilante in a children's cartoon that had a Art Deco style from the 1950s. That's what I wanted to watch, with adult themes about tragedy and loss and disfigurement. And that was the beauty of the Batman Animated Series. That was so ahead of its time. So that was one of them. Also, I would watch things like Doug, or I'd watch a lot of Nickelodeon, stuff like that. Roger Klotz. Hey, funny. All right. The next one comes from bring back Helen Slater as the Legend of Billie Jean Supergirl. The Legend of Billie Jean's a great movie. Okay, the next one comes from John. Which of my celeb crush do you like more, Bryce Dallas Howard or Kara Kasurian? Who the hell's Kara Kasurian? I'm sorry. Is it me, or does it feel like we're inundated with a new popular celebrity every day that didn't exist the day before? Like every day I watch something on TikTok, there's like a new celebrity pop singer that's all of a sudden famous and selling out arenas, and I've never heard of this person ever before. Like she just was formulated by AI to be famous. And I'm like, but she only existed 2 weeks ago. How did she become famous? I don't know. Who is this person? Kira. Oh yeah, she's okay. I don't know. I go Bryce Dallas Howard on that one. I want Bryce Dallas Howard from Jurassic World when she's running in high heels away from the T-Rex. That's who I want. And I want to be the T-Rex. Uranium Cranium says, you like Doug with Roger Klotz? Oh, yes, I did. His best friend's name was Skeeter. Patty Mayonnaise? Give it to me now. Did you not think to record it? Yes, I'm sorry I didn't record Batman the Animated Series as a 8-year-old kid. I'm sorry I didn't think to record it. You think I knew how to use the VHS player to record shit? No, I did not. I don't even know if it had the capability to do it. Dustin Rich says, do you have feelings of resentment towards your bus driver? Always and forever. I always had a lot of creepy bus drivers. All right. By the way, John, she's a Nick actor from When I Grew Up. Well, fair enough. Okay, let's answer a few more questions tonight, and then I'm going to wrap up this live show because we have been talking for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So if you have any pertinent questions, things you want me to answer, things you need me to answer, topics you want me to talk about, get those in now. I will keep talking as long as we cover all of them. So please get those in as soon as you can. Fun fact. Oh gosh, where'd that go? John, what would you do if the pigeon lady showed up at your door? I'd probably douse her in bleach and light her on fire. Did you hear Christian Bale Terminator Salvation rant from 2009? It was hilarious. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I've heard that multiple times. Listen, man, we'll never work professionally again. You don't come through the scene as I'm acting. Da-da-da-da-da, la-di-da. Yeah, I remember it. What live program are you using and how did you do the graphics? I'm working on a tutorial to show you guys how to do all of those things at some point very soon, I promise you. So I use Streamlabs desktop. A lot of the graphics I made in Photoshop, and then I imported them into the software. And there's enough options and things you can do to tweak the graphics and have like the bottom scrolling text, the ticker bar at the bottom there. But yeah, I'm using Streamlabs Desktop for my live shows. And I'm still always learning how to use it. It took me 5 years to get to this point, so thank you very much. John, which one did you think was better and did well at the box office, Superman or Fantastic Four First Steps? I thought Fantastic Four First Steps was the better movie. I think that was by far and away the best Fantastic Four movie we've ever gotten. At least Galactus looked like Galactus. I enjoyed it. I did. I liked it more as a comic book movie. It's fucking distracting. What is the bar at the bottom? You don't like it? Dustin Rich says, John, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done while drunk? I mean, you know what? I'll keep that one close to the chest, close to the vest. How about that? Don't just look at it, eat it. John, what did your mom get you for Christmas? She got me a lamp that heats up candles because that's the kind of stuff you want in your late 30s, or at least my wife does. A sweater and some candy and some scratch-off tickets where I won $1. So thanks, Mom. But I am eating the candy. I will say that. John, thoughts on Michael Jackson's biopic next year? I'm interested to see it. I will say this, when it comes to biopics, especially biopics that have to get approval from the family of the title character, they're always sort of glossing over the low points in that person's life. So like you're going to get a movie that kind of celebrates Michael Jackson's music, and I don't feel like it's going to dive too much into the negativity. And also, like, are they going to touch on other things about how Michael Jackson like sort of changed his appearance over the years? Like, is that just going to naturally happen? Are we going to comment on that and talk about it? And his addiction to plastic surgery and what have you, and the trials that come into the 90s where he's accused and has some accusations. Like, are we going to dive into those things? Now, as far as everything I understand about the Michael Jackson biopic is it takes place throughout the 80s, which for me is like the best version of Michael Jackson. So like you could definitely celebrate his music more so in the 1980s version of things, because it's when you get into the 90s and when you have the most controversy surrounding him. But I do want to check it out. I do. I definitely want to see it. And if they focus on just like his music and making the Thriller video and him as an artist, and maybe they touch on like how his life is behind the scenes and like having a traumatic childhood with an abusive father, and that's why he has the psychological trauma and why he never wants to grow up and always changes his voice to sound like a little boy and lives in a mansion that he calls Neverland, and that's all the trauma. Like, if they focus on that a little bit, I would be happy. Will they? I'm not quite sure. Who knows? But then I go back to biopics like Freddie Mercury, the Bohemian Rhapsody, and man, they glossed over a lot of shit in that. So, and people thought it was good. They like, oh, that's a good movie. I'm like, I don't know if it's technically a good biopic though. You know, I don't know about that. Like, it recreated a lot of cool musical moments, but it's a biopic. And so you're not telling the whole story. So I think you failed on making a conclusive biopic. Is Predator your favorite Arnold film like me? You know what? It is not. It is not. You son of a bitch. No, I think Terminator 2 Judgment Day is. I think that is my favorite Arnold movie. I got to go with it. It was a role made for him. No one else could play a cybernetic organism like Arnold. John, why do you have beef with the pigeon lady? We've talked about this at least 3,792 times. She's everything wrong with the moral fabric of society. And that moral fabric is stained by pigeon shit. If you don't have enough self-respect to not get shit on by pigeons, then I can't look at you, okay? The Runaway is a great biopic. The Runaways, I liked The Runaways. Cherry Bomb. I thought it was okay. The Bob Marley movie from last year was similar. I didn't see that. I never saw that. Now, did you say it's glossy? It like glosses over everything in his life? Is that what you're saying? It's probably why no one talks about it. John, you think Spider-Man Brand New Day will kick Supergirl's ass at the box office and be more successful than Supergirl? That's like saying, is water wet? Yes, I do. Spider-Man is always a box office juggernaut. And if you want to compare it to Supergirl, who has a track record of not, yeah, I definitely think Spider-Man Brand New Day will be. I'm looking forward to that movie. Is that next summer? Is that this upcoming summer that comes out? Somebody let me know. Dustin Rich says, where's Claudio or 1901? I need to hear more about 90s action movies that no one remembers. Hey, I remember some of their movies, but they get a little nichey. I don't know where they're at tonight. They must be celebrating Christmas or something. I don't know, man. Hopefully they make a triumphant return on the next live show. I'm tired of Spider-Man. Listen, if they do a Spider-Man where it goes back to the street level of Spider-Man, and we step away from the MCU being interjected and having to culminate with 17 different storylines, I would be happy with that standalone Spider-Man movie. I'm getting so tired of the MCU. Everything has to be interconnected, and we need 17 cameos from every other character in the next movie coming out. Like, just what happened to solo MCU movies? Just stick to that for a little bit. And if they do that, I will be happy. John, can I call you J Money? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. Are you more excited for Spider-Man 4 than Doomsday? Nah, I'd probably have to pick Doomsday just because the X-Men are coming back and I'm really, really excited to see what they do with the X-Men and going forward. And plus Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom. Some people hate it. I'm okay with it. I'm curious to see his take on it. Like let's all wait and see how the performance is before we crap on it. But I'd probably pick Doomsday. These new Spider-Man titles stink. Yeah, they're kind of just like, kind of bland. Do you have a PS5? No, I have an Xbox X, Series X, whatever it's called. Kind of a piece of shit, though. I will say this, like, lately, it has not connected to my internet that well. So, the Wi-Fi signal always spikes. So, I'm playing Rocket League, and it's great. And then all of a sudden, I start lagging, and I just want to snap my controller in half. And then my Xbox, at this point, I cannot wirelessly connect my controller to my Xbox because it just disconnects. So I have to plug it in. Like, what's that all about? What do you think of Euphoria? I like Euphoria. I think it has like a good blend of dark humor. And I definitely think in the second season, they like delve more into the tone of making it dark and humorous. It had a lot of great episodes. I liked it quite a bit. I like some of the characters. I like how dark and twisted it is. I like the Tyler character and his dad. Yeah, there's some twisted shit in there. Sydney Sweeney's in the show. So, there's that. So I'm looking forward to Euphoria season 3. And I went so long without watching that. And finally, like 3 or 4 months ago, I watched both seasons and I was like, this is a pretty decent show. So I'd recommend checking it out if you guys have never seen it. Your John Campea impressions give me a reason to live. Well, thank you. That's all I have to offer society is a shitty John Campea impression. I've always been a PlayStation guy. I never owned an Xbox. I just think Xbox has the better controller, the much more comfortable controller. Uranium Cranium says, not to argue, John, but wasn't Morbius a recent MCU standalone movie? Well, that's from Sony. There's a big difference here. When I say Marvel, I mean Marvel. I mean Disney's Marvel. Nothing I say when it comes to comic book movies and being good will ever coordinate or relate to Sony. They make great TVs, but that's it. Will you go to more cons this coming year? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not a huge fan of Comic-Cons. You know, I think like walking around looking at all this stuff I can buy online gets really boring with like an hour. And like if you want to get autographs, I guess that's kind of cool. And like usually at a con, I meet a couple fans and do stuff like that. That's usually the highlight for me. But I don't know. Like usually any con I walk into, within an hour, I can walk around the whole thing and it feels like, well, I'm done now. Levy Film says, John, how can I meet you? I don't know, man. You know, anytime I go to a film festival or something like that, or maybe a movie screening somewhere, I'll mention it. I don't know. Where do you live, Levy Films? I think you've told me once. Thanks for the stream, John. Always love watching live or later. Love you, big guy. Well, thank you, man. Yeah, a lot of people watch the replays of this shit a week afterwards. And that's okay. I get it. Not everyone has 3 hours to listen to me ramble on about movies and other random shit in life. But thank you guys for listening later on. My best advice for these live shows, treat these like podcasts. When you're a little bit bored, maybe you're taking a shower, whatever you're doing. Maybe you're taking a crap, driving down the road. I don't know what you're doing. Just listen to them then. You don't even need to look at me. Just listen to them. How can I quit you? You can't. I'm one addiction you never want to let go. I'll taint your soul in the best way. Don't you ever leave me, and I won't ever leave you. John, if I come to Fort Wayne, can we meet at Mega Replay so I can get a signature on a VHS of Over the Top? Maybe. When would you come to Fort Wayne and when and how and why? I'll be honest with you. Send me a message on X or tag me in something. Reach out to me on X if you want to do something like that. If you guys want me to do a meet and greet at Mega Replay, I can do it. Let me know if you're interested. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It'll be the Mega Replay in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Let me know. Maybe we can set this up sometime. Just putting it out there. Have you seen the 2007 TMNT movie? It's heavily underrated. I watched it once. That's with like the robotic Raphael bad guy or something like that. That's all I remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember much about it. I'm not a huge fan of the animated TMNT stuff. Love the background. It's a super clean setup. Thanks, man. You know, I worked on this backdrop for a very long time. Now, this is in fact my office. And I was like, how can I make this look, the symmetry? How can I get it right? Where can I place these arcade machines, the shelves, the logo up there, the lighting? I put a lot of thought into this ambiance. So thank you for the compliment. It does mean a lot. For me, I wanted a kind of a fun retro 80s vibe. You know, I wanted to make an environment where it's like, that looks like a cool place to hang out. Or like lay on the couch, you know, like this. Take a party popper with me. You know, we can just chill on the couch. Now, how would you guys like to do the live streams like this from now on? Huh? I've really thought about just doing live streams like this. And sometimes when I'm feeling a little down and out, what I do is I lay back here on this couch and I think about my life like I'm in a therapist office. And every time I close my eyes, I can still remember my uncle taking me down in the basement to show me some wrestling moves. Anyway. Thank you for that. And I will tell you guys this at some point very soon. Here's what I want to do. Here's a couple video updates just for you guys. I will be doing a Blu-ray collection, entire collection video update at some point very soon. And also I want to give you guys like a tour of the Flick Cave here because I got a lot of cool shit over there on the shelf I'd like to show you guys at some point. So we'll do that. So thank you for that, man. I want to see John with a bowl cut. I can show you John with a bowl cut. That's pretty much me in the 1990s. Every haircut I got a bowl cut. Yeah, I did. So if I can conjure up some old pictures, I'll show you, man. Okay, I'm going to answer a few more questions, and I'm going to call this a night, but don't worry, we still got a few minutes to hang out, so don't get scared now. Arlo3 says, Johnny Traposaurus Rex, I just have one question. I can't remember how long I've been watching, but what I want to know is what happened to Tiny Todd. I have talked about this a few times, but I will reiterate what I've said before. There's a Flick Trip video where I buried Tiny Todd in the $5 Blu-ray bin at Walmart. I believe this is a Flick Trip video from 2014, 2015. So go check that out. I buried Tiny Todd. Now, the reason I did that was because his threats were getting a little too dangerous and I was afraid for my life. And I had to take that little plastic skeleton out before he took me out. Let's move on. He's listening right now. But thanks for the question, man. Willie the Warden says, and if anyone watching right now is like, who the fuck is Tiny Todd? He was a plastic skeleton that I used to hang out with. Can we just move on? All right, Willie the Warden says, have you seen it? Welcome to Derry. If so, thoughts? Well, Willie the Warden, thanks for the question, man. Party popper for you. I did watch the first 2 episodes of Welcome to Derry, and I don't know if I could get into it. I like it. I like all those things. But it just that the kid acting in it just was not very good. And I was like, I don't know if I can watch all these episodes. Now, the fact that it's concluded, maybe I'll go through and binge it at some point. But I just couldn't really get into it. And I don't think the universe of it is all that intriguing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, had they condensed all of that into like 4 episodes, I think that would be better than watching 8 episodes spread out. But I haven't seen it all. You know, the vibe of it wasn't quite what I was hoping for. And it has like an overuse of CGI that just feels it feels like a Snapchat filter when you're looking at it. So maybe at some point I'll try to finish it. It was mid AF. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard some people kind of like it, but mostly no one's really talking about it. And I feel like I was spoiled by Stranger Things. Like when you have those kids and that dynamic, I just feel like when it tries to capture that, or Welcome to Derry, it can't quite get there. What did you do with Scuba Steve? You know, I think my mom has Scuba Steve at her house, and he was in a garage sale like 5 years ago. So I don't know where Scuba Steve is. Hopefully in someone's bathtub saving the day. And you're probably asking yourself, who the fuck is Scuba Steve? That's a story for another time. Okay, the next one comes from River Eastburn, who says, any cool ideas you'd want to see for a physical media box set of Stranger Things 1 through 5? Do you own the first 2 seasons VHS cases from Target? I do not. I do not own those. If I could find them for a reasonable deal somewhere one day, I would probably pick them up. Now, for the rest of Stranger Things, I don't know. Like, as long as they look like VHS tapes, that would be kind of cool. Like, I don't know what the box could look like. Maybe it comes in like a giant Eggos box or something very 80s. I don't know. Yeah, as long as they look like VHS tapes, I would be happy. I would be happy with that. But yeah, I would definitely pick that up if it was a decent deal. Nathan says, good night, John Flickinger. Well, good night to you too, Nathan. Godspeed. You're the third GOAT, John, next to Carpenter and Cena. Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And after John Williams as well. And John Wayne Gacy. But anyway, River Eastburn, thanks for the question, man. I'm hoping physical media doesn't die out anytime soon, and we still get boutique niche labels putting out cool 4K releases of shit. Like, I still need to get Robin Hood Prince of Thieves on 4K. I need to get Over the Top on 4K. I was looking at the Steelbook as a Christmas gift to myself, but I was like, do I need to spend $60 on the Steelbook of Over the Top on 4K? I was like, I don't know if I can justify that. At some point, I will. So anyway, thanks for the question, man. Okay, I'm going to answer just a few more here. Uranium Cranium says, good night, John. Well, good night to you. How's the house inspections going? They're going pretty good. I'm getting pretty proficient with it. Oh, I did an inspection of a house the other day. It was like 100 years old, and it just, by the time I was done, I should have just said, okay, just don't move in. Like everything that's wrong with this house has been notated in this report. And my best advice to you is just don't live in it. Just don't do it. Live anywhere else except for here. But anyway, it's going pretty good. I quite enjoyed the challenge of it. You know, it's always fun and stimulating, and it's kind of like a physical workout. And I get to fly a drone and climb on ladders, and I like it. I quite enjoy it. It's definitely very different than the YouTube side of things, but I kind of like that dynamic. Favorite burger place? I go to Culver's. I'm sure there's better ones, but I like a good Culver's butter burger every once in a while. Yeah, home inspecting it's fun if you can find clientele. It's really good. But there's a lot of liability and all the blame rests on you, so you better get it right. And sometimes when I go over the review of the home inspection, I kind of do it the way I talk about movies. Like I kind of do the same spiel I do on YouTube. And sometimes people are like, whoa, this is interesting. I'm like, all right, so I found a crack in your foundation. Now I'm going to call it a minor crack because it's under an 1/8 inch. So, I'm going to say keep an eye on it and monitor it in the future. So I'm going to give this house a B-. And then I do a cartwheel and a backflip and I leave. What's your least favorite Batman animations? What's that mean? I don't know. I didn't watch Batman Beyond. I've heard people like it. I never watched it though. John, would you rather give a home inspection to the McAllister house or the Creep house? I think the McAllister house would be fun. I would like that. That sounds like a good time. I'd even inspect the tree house to make sure it was safe. And I'd say, what is this large, copious amount of micro machines doing on the floor? This is a trip hazard. And then I get hit in the head with a paint can and die. Dustin Rich says, Denny's double cheeseburgers are heaven on earth. Oh, that's good stuff. Whataburger is always a good place I go to. I don't have any Whataburgers here in Indiana, but every time I go to like Texas or California, I always stop by there. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live show right there, but I do want to say, guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Just looking at my stupid face for the last 3 hours and 4 minutes and listening to me ramble on about Stranger Things earlier in the live show and asking questions as per usual. Without you guys, we don't have a live show. So I leave it up to you to bring the questions, bring the topics. But if you guys missed the last live show I put out 4 or 5 days ago where I talk about the other Volume 1 of Stranger Things, I talk about the Odyssey trailer, I talk about the Housemaid movie, I talk about Marty Supreme, and a multitude of other things. Make sure you check out the previous live show. As always, guys, have a good night. Have a happy new year. Hopefully 2026 is better than 2025, at least when it comes to movies. And the day after Stranger Things, the finale drops on New Year's Eve. On that Thursday, maybe Friday at the latest, we will have a brand new live show. So look forward to that. As always, take care. Have a good night. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. I'm going to go play Rocket League now. Take care. Bye-bye.